Hey, 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 Nerd Herd family. Happy 25, guys. Literally and figuratively. Come on in. As you come in the door, remember, Nerd Herd rules. Take your shoes off, grab a pair of fuzzy socks by the door, jump on the couch, put your feet up, stay a while. How's everybody doing? Let me put on my trusty dusty readers so I can see who's in the house. How you doing, family? This 2025 has certainly gotten off to a bang, if I should say. Whew, boy. If this is any indication of the year to come, guys, strap on your seatbelts. It is going to be a bumpy ride. Literally and figuratively. This is, as they say, as the big mama say, too much. Too much going on already. But we are going to get into one of the primary things that are taking place. And while it has not been proven, the tentative speculation is that some of the items are connected. Well. If it ain't Mr. Magoo himself, I can see. Let me see who's in the house. Come on in, Nerd Herd family. You remember the protocol when you come into the room. Please like, share, so that the algorithm knows we're doing something over here that is worthwhile and others can come along. A lot of people don't get their notifications. And for all of you who are in the room, be sure to check your notification bell to see if you have the notifications on all. So every time we go live or post, you guys can get a notification and come and join your family. You know, some of y'all don't be checking your email. You don't want to miss the family reunion now, do you? Come on in here, guys. Let's see what's going on. So for those of you who sent me emails concerned about my triggering as far as New Year's Eve and the unfortunate shootings of today and yesterday, I thank you so much. I love you guys. This is what I'm talking about. I love you guys so much. Shout out to Crystal Evans, Bonnie, the dopest mod in the place to be, Miss Renee, locked. Give my girl some love. Diebony, Indica, Keisha, I'm so happy to see you back in here, girl. I don't know why you was kicked out, although one of my Nerd Herd family members sent me an email that I saw not that long ago saying that her son was at her computer. She went in the kitchen to fix some food, and the son said he saw a bad word and he reported somebody. So she said she had to teach him a lesson on context. I hope that wasn't why you weren't able to make a comment, Keisha, but it wasn't us. She sent me an email, and shout out to my client. I was going to say client. See, I'm always in work mode. Shout out to the Nerd Herd family member who sent me that. I got a kick out of it. I was like, oh my goodness. Keisha was saying she couldn't get in, but I'm glad to see you back. Shout out to my additional dope mod, Lakeisha Garland. Happy 2025, everybody. Up in here greeting all the people. Shout out to all of the people in the bushes and in the nosebleeds who don't choose to join the chat. We love you nonetheless. Shout out to the introverts in the house. We know what it's like. Shout out to ICU. Greetings from Vegas. I hope everything is okay. Hope you weren't anywhere near the explosion and that you're safe. And so let's get to it. Those who are coming will get here. Be sure to make sure you give a thumbs up when you come in the door so the algorithm can send it out to other people. Guys, this year has gotten off to a crazy start. I mean, the things, I'm glad to hear that you're safe. Thank you so much for even responding. I appreciate that. This is, shout out to Sammy Sam who just joined. Listen, I've seen many, this is my 54th New Year, okay? Going to be my it's my 55th New Year. This is my 55th New Year. I've seen a lot of New Years. I cannot say that I've seen any this Cantankerous. I cannot say that I have. This is bizarre to say the least. And I think it is indicative of what 2025 is going to look like. We already know that this year is off to a start, but this is something different. These appear to be targeted, premeditated, intentional acts set to create either a feeling of fear so that the incoming administration can impact people's freedoms and become extremely heavy-handed and no one question them. See, I'm never just looking straight out. I'm checking those perimeters, the periphery, and that third eye. Third eye tells me, so we knew at the end of the year there was a lot of contention between the MAGA people and Elon Musk and company. They weren't feeling him. Although prior to the election, they thought that that was the flex of all flexes. Post-election, when Trump stepped in and said, excuse me, guys, by the way, I'm not going to be able to lower the price of groceries and I cannot lower gas. Y'all just going to have to put an H on your back and handle that, as we used to say in Brooklyn. Then they realized quickly, like, hold on, did we get the 52 fake out? I know some people said to me, what is the 52 fake out? That is an old cliche verbiage from the 70s. 52 represents the numbers in a card deck. So it's like an old gambling euphemism. The 52 fake out is doing sleight of hand and tricks with the 52 cards. And so it's just a figure of speech that's been used forever and a day, but it constitutes deception. I don't necessarily find these to be. Here's what I know. Here's what history has taught me. Here's what society has taught me. Here's what my third eye has taught me. Here's what my prophetic gift and my empathic gift has taught me. Here's what I've garnered along the way in this 54, soon to be 55 years. That things are often not what they seem. It is like 9/11 when these alleged planes crashed into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, World Trade 1 and 2, the Pentagon and World Trade 7, and a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. These planes, the one in Shanksville, apparently crashed so hard it was eviscerated to dust, which I've never seen before, because there is a national organization called the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Bureau, I believe. And the sole job or the primary job of this organization is to go to plane crashes, assemble all of the wreckage, and reconstruct the plane. Now, I don't think that you would have an entire government agency that is focused on the reconstruction of something that could eviscerate to dust. Now, mind you, Shanksville was just a dark scorching of the earth with no plane wreckage left, eviscerated into dust, along with the Pentagon, who the wingspan of a plane is quite wide, but the hole in the Pentagon was narrow. I digress. That ain't what we came here to talk about. I am simply making a reference, historical reference, as well as all of the engineers who have said, based on engineering history, that if a plane crashes into a segment of the building, the top, from the very top down to the point of entry, is the only thing that will collapse. The rest of the building will stand remaining. This is the architectural society all together have come together and decided this. Well, the ones willing to speak, that are courageous enough to speak. However, even in spite of all those things, where buildings that I grew up knowing, and I used to hang out in the World Trade Center after school when I was in high school. There was a store called Le Papillon, which means the butterfly in French, and we used to go shop there. That was my store because I thought I was grown in high school, darling. I'm going to show you the fashions I used to wear in high school, darling. Long wool skirts or linen skirts, silk blouses, things like that. I was grown. Big, long wool coats with huge fur collars that cascaded. Yes, that is how I dressed to go to high school. Remember, I grew up in New York, grown. My grandmother's swing mink coat. You couldn't tell me nothing. Anyway, I used to also hang out in a store called, well, we used to go to, what was that cookie shop called? And they used to make the big cookie cake. I forget. It slips my mind. But I spent a lot of time in the World Trade Center. This was a gargantuan, very stable, monumental skyscraper. I came from the city of skyscrapers. That thing crumbled like a pack of cookies. Okay? History tells us this building catapulted down to dust to where it took them, where 10 and 12 years later, they were still identifying bodies. Yet, I mean, you're probably saying, why is she going off on this tangent? What does this have to do with what's happened? Here's what's happened. They tried to tell us a day or two later that they found these red bandanas and these ID cards of some men that they said were the terrorists. Everything else is eviscerated to smithereens. The whole plane is eviscerated, but you found a slightly charred red bandana and an ID card, not the people that was in the plane, just the terrorists. As we say in the Caribbean, what? When I look at those stupid things, my reasoning says, nothing no go so. That not going right. Something don't sound right this all. That not gonna make it, star. You ain't gonna tell me a whole plane eviscerated into dust, tons of steel and metal, plastic, chairs, engines, all time eviscerated into dust, but you found a slightly charred red handkerchief and an ID card of the Taliban. No. Stop it, I say. Oh, stop it, I say. I will not play those games with you. Don't play in my face. And so here we have this again. We have this plane crash that took place. Excuse me, lots of plane crashes, but I digress. We have this explosion of a Cybertruck. We have a Cybertruck explosion that occurs in front of Trump Hotel. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, self, there's some there. There is something in the, yes, Keisha, something in the milk ain't clean, baby. Not your what, 47th president that y'all just reelected for the second term? Not that convicted felon. No, not him. No. Not that convicted essayer who the judge just said, no, we won't overturn your conviction for the essay of this woman. You got to pay her. Oh, no. Not that dude. And his old chummy bestie boo, Mr. Immigrant visa violator coming to the country illegally himself and now lobbying for H-1B1 visas for educated immigrants to take away good jobs from the MAGA crew. And they said, not over our unalived bodies. And then on big January 1st, a gentleman named Matthew Allen Livelsberger decided that he was going to rent a Tesla Cybertruck. Now, let me just give you a little backup on Matthew Allen Livelsberger. Matthew Allen Livelsberger is a United States active military person, active military person, away without leave. He was away. He was supposed to be stationed in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. He served at Fort Bragg. He is a current military person. He was in Afghanistan in 2009, just like the individual who crashed his car into all of those people in New Orleans. They both served at Fort Bragg, although they have not determined whether they served simultaneously. They both were current military. They both were in Afghanistan in 2009, although they haven't confirmed that they were in the same unit. And Matthew is a Green Beret with the 10th Special Forces unit. He is away without permission, on leave right now. He is supposed to be in, I wrote it all down, Germany, if I'm not mistaken, in the vehicle that was burnt to a crisp inside. Now, ironically, that could be an ad for the strength of the Cybertruck, because the exterior of the Cybertruck remained completely intact. The body is completely intact. However, both Matthew Allen Shivelsberger and his Desert Eagle 50 caliber semi-automatic, as well as his SLR model B30 semi-automatic, were burnt to a crisp, melted. His iPhone and his smartwatch were also melted. Inside of the Cybertruck, which he rented from Turo, that Turo renter is going to be ticked off. Whoo, child. He gonna be ticked off. He rented that car from Turo. He took the car from Colorado to Las Vegas. And when he drove into the Trump the Trump circular driveway of the hotel, that wasn't his first time arriving. He actually originally arrived at 7:34 a.m. How do I know, you ask? Because they tracked that car from all of you that want electric vehicles, they were able to track his trajectory retroactively all the way from the time of rental, because he rented it on Turo, a digital service, digital imprint. Because it's a Tesla Cybertruck, an electric vehicle, he has to stop at charging stations. They were able to see the video footage of every charging station he stopped at throughout the entire. If this ain't Big Brother, then you don't know Big Brother. They tracked him from every single place he stopped. They tracked him to where he stopped to get food. They tracked him to every store he went to. He came in the driveway. His original entry into the Trump hotel driveway was at 7:34 a.m. And he actually entered, there was a red car in the circular driveway. He actually came up behind it, and that red car proceeded out of the driveway. He doesn't know how lucky he is. If he know what I know, he better get down on his knees and thank the Heavenly Father up above and go play the lotto. Because blessings on blessings on blessings. He drove out, and then the Cybertruck drove out. The Cybertruck showed, and I've been to Vegas. I know exactly where he was. It shows where he went up to the strip, turned onto the main drag, drove around. They say he went to some parking lot for a store. He sat there for about 15 minutes, and then he circled back around and came back around to the main strip where he went back to the Trump Hotel. And 15 seconds after he entered the driveway, the valet driveway of the Trump Hotel, 15 seconds later, I'm sure you guys have seen it, that car blew up to smithereens. It looked like Independence Day and every other cosmic explosion possible. On board, I don't think he wanted to, I misquoted, 17 seconds. Within 17 seconds of pulling around back into the Trump Hotel for the second time that morning, the car exploded into smithereens. Not the least of which is his body had to stay in the car until they got it back to the facility, and it was still in the car because it was burnt beyond recognition. Burnt to the bone. To the bone. as well as his artillery, his smartwatch, and everything. And I know you're wondering, self, she's reiterated this a few times. Why is she taking the liberty of going over this so much? To which I say, in spite of everything that was charred and burned, see, Teslas use lithium batteries. You know, you always hear about, does this contain a lithium ion battery? Lithium batteries, not the least of which is he filled the trunk part of the Tesla with oil cans and explosives and all sorts of fireworks to exacerbate the explosion. But I highlight all those things because he wanted to he wanted to exacerbate the impact and the potency of all of the exploding things in tandem with the lithium batteries. And boy, did he go out with a bang. However, these people were so thorough. Guess what they were able to find? A slightly charged passport, American passport. Listen, I got a passport. If that sucker get wet and you got a little soda or something that spill on it, those pages are finito. So how it survived the heat and the destruction of that Cybertruck exploding, as well as his military ID that's just covered in plastic, plastic. How were they so intact as to demonstrate his identity? What is today? This must be Play in Our Face Tuesday or Thursday or whatever day it is. Because the turnip truck that I was riding on, by the way, I did not fall off. I was simply riding it. That don't make no sense. You gonna tell me a Desert Eagle semi-automatic rifle was burned, charred to a crisp, but paper survived in there? You showed us the contents of the inside of the car on TV. Everything was eviscerated, crisp to a T. Even this man's flesh had melted off of his body and was burned in most of the places. His body had some remains, but you could not identify the person. Now, they did know that his gun was at his feet, and they say he shot himself in the face prior to the explosion. But yet, his passport and his military ID, pristine, slightly charred, a little Cajun. When will the government stop playing in our face? When? I would really like to know. What do you guys think? Listen, if that was him. See, Allie, here's why statements like this are problematic to me. Alexis says he was military. He knew what he was doing. So here's why that Keisha says none at all, no way possible. Now, here's why that statement is problematic to me, Alexis. Because this man's body was so eviscerated. You saw that explosion. His body was so eviscerated. How can you establish identity without DNA, without teeth, dental records? You cannot establish DNA. If you wanted to 52 fake out somebody, you could put someone else's ID inside of a car, act like it was slightly charred, stick a body in there that was eviscerated beyond identification purposes, and say what you want. We have got to learn to have discerning eyes and ears. Stop believing everything you're told. You have no way of knowing that that is, in fact, the person who they say it was. They're letting his name out, but they're still saying, we cannot confirm beyond a shadow of a doubt without DNA that it was this person, but we do know the passport and the military ID. Hello, they ran that game on us back in 2001 when the World Trade Center exploded. Hello? Or 2000 when 9/11 happened. They ran that ploy on us. It doesn't, Alexis, the FBI was at his townhouse today and they left at 4 p.m. And that's why they got a DNA to confirm it was him. Darling, Again, the okey doke. The okey doke. They were at his house in Colorado at 4 p.m. Right now it is 9:48. He was burned to capacity, burned beyond recognition by their own words. Body was so eviscerated, even though they were notified of what tattoos he had, his body was in such a state of disarray and decomp, they could not use that to identify him. And they did DNA already? Oh, really? They went from Colorado to Las Vegas and did the DNA on the charred remains. What DNA? He's burned to annihilation. What DNA? Dental records. Dental records. You have got to stop believing the okey doke. It's the same way NBC said, Jane Doe's father said, he doesn't remember that. How you know? Did you see a video of Jane Doe's father saying that? That's like they show you the news of a situation. There's a reporter, a person's in the corner, and guess what somebody says? He says, blah, 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 blah. Oh, really? Well, then play the recording and let him say it. Don't you tell me what he said. He's standing right beside you. Let him say it. If you don't let him say it, he ain't say nothing. You said he said. We don't believe our cousin who said, Lisa said, her man had said, blah, blah, blah. But you believe a reporter who you don't know, who most of which are Project Mockingbird, CIA agents. You let them tell you anything. Stop letting them tell you anything. Shout out to Leah Paris for becoming a new family member. Welcome to the family. And you know what we always say? You a cousin now. Let me hold $1. That's your true welcome to the family. So it's called a PSYOP, psychological operation, created and illustrated to create fear and a sense of lack of safety so that any type of astringent protocols put in place by the government upon the people, stripping them of their rights, people will allocate and go gladly because they think the government's going to keep them safe. The same government that can't let your groceries go down, the same government who can't drop the price of gas, the same government who can't stop put a moratorium on these friggin' corporate entities from buying up all the starter family homes and making them all rentals so people can't afford to buy a home for a decent price. That same government. Let me take a sip of my drink, y'all. Come on, guys. They are gaslighting you. Not the least of which is on January 1st. Ooh, child. January 1st. January 1st. Wait, allow me to take a sip of my tea. Come now. We are the nerd herd. I want us to think deeply. Put on your thinking caps, adjust them. You don't see the correlation. MAGA is livid with Elon Musk because Elon Musk says, oh, let's keep H1N1, H1B1 visas in place so we can get the creme de la creme of intelligent people from the global world and bring them here, give them accelerated visas so we can get them to come and do the hard work. With the MAGA crew, no shade, most of which was not qualified to do that scientific level work. No shade. Shh. However, they say you taking our jobs. Is that so? Is that so? Are any of these jobs the black jobs that they were talking about before? MAGA is angry. Is the MAGA crowd, the Bible says, show thyself approved. Are they approved to make Teslas and fix them? And listen, I'm not defending Elon Musk because I'm not a fan. And I don't like no Teslas. Now, I do love a Cybertruck. I love the exterior and what it looks like, but I would never indulge. I would never indulge. And for those of you who have Cybertrucks and regular Teslas, whether you have the basic model or the deluxe package, please know that every one of your phone conversations, or excuse me, every one of your conversations inside of that car is being recorded and logged in a database. And there was a major case in New York in 2024 where a drug syndicate was brought down because the drug dealers didn't have a Tesla. There was a man on a block in New York that had a Tesla, and he always parked his Tesla in the same place at the corner. He parked it where these guys would always hang out. His conventional wisdom is the guys are outside. They know who I am. They're not going to let anyone steal my car. Well, no one stole his car, but guess what? All of the drug activities that the guys discussed on the corner was recorded by the car when it was off. And then that information was sent to the district attorney's office, and those guys were indicted. You don't believe me? Look it up. These are not even people who they should be able to fight that case because they have a duty of privacy on the public street where they are not the owners of that Tesla and therefore should not be subject to its recordings. I would fight that. Not that I want drug dealers in my community, but what a violation of people's First Amendment right to free speech and privacy. Because his car was parked on the corner every day and recorded the same people in the same conversations about drugs, they indicted them. Oh, you don't believe me? Go look it up. After you get off this recording, of course, but do so. Now, you tell me something is normal about that? What's normal about that? Tell me what's normal about it. Tell me. Listen, all of our devices are recording, our phones and everything. However, they don't have the authority right now to take your recordings and prosecute you off of GP, or tons more people would be in jail. Please understand that. However, a Tesla parked on a block near where some individuals who are in no connection to the Tesla conglomerate was used to indict them. So everything while y'all stunting in y'all Teslas, and we know the crew that's out there riding the Teslas, the young scammers and all them, y'all be careful now you're here. Sleight of hand. Be careful. Be careful of that sleight of hand. It gets you every time. Yeah, me either. I don't trust him either. I particularly find him to be a unique specimen, and here's why. Because about 15 years ago, or probably more, I was watching a documentary, because you guys know that's what I do. I watch documentaries, seminars, symposiums, medical studies, all types of stuff. I was watching a documentary, and the documentary was about a company called Tesla. And guess who owned Tesla? Not Elon Musk. So many of y'all think Elon Musk created Teslas. No, he did not. These two white guys, they owned it. There wasn't an Elon Musk in sight. It was just them two. They started this company and owned it, and they were both scientific engineers, and they created a company. Then later on, a guy named Elon Musk came to them and was like, I love what you guys are doing. I'm so enamored by these Teslas. Oh my goodness, I want to work at your company. I'd like to see if I could invest or, just come and work here and learn everything I can. And then he got in and he deboed them. Y'all know what the word debo is. Those who don't know debo, ask a friend, get a phone a friend in the group. Deboed means you bullied somebody out of their stuff. He deboed the two guys and stole the company from them and put them out. But this is who you bring to work in the administration of your assayer in chief, your 34 felony convictioner in chief. Hey, y'all didn't think this out. And I'm sorry to inform you, I have to do a public service announcement in between here. Ding, ding, ding. Black women have decided to mind their business, from 2025 to 2029. Everything that happens within the confines of these 4 years, you have to handle it yourself. They're off duty. I'm just sticking around to report it. Somebody got to tell the story. Ding, dong, dong. That was a public service announcement from Black women. So you don't want to listen to us? You on your own. Sorry. You are. I'm being honest. He will be a bully in the White House. That is why the Elon Musk people started saying, oh, Elon Musk is really the president and Trump is just a figurehead. Because Elon Musk wasn't born in America, so he could never become president because, in case those of you don't know, that is one of the prerequisites of being the president. You have to be born in the country. And so, my, you want to know what happened? A certain 34 felony having SAer-in-chief convicted person started saying, excuse me, Elon Musk ain't nobody boss. I'm the boss. I'm in charge. That's just my homie. And I put him in the administration, but he don't run nothing. He don't, as my husband used to say, him no run things, him run our own things. You don't run nothing, you run our own things. Listen, Trump started getting in his feelings. He said, excuse me, I heard y'all out here saying Elon Musk is my boss. He ain't nobody boss, I'm the boss. And then became a chasm wide enough to cause a rift in the MAGA country. The MAGA people started saying, we don't want no Muskers over here. They started losing their mind. Now they out here on the internet crying because, oh my God, I can barely keep a roof over my head. And now you mean he's not going to lower the groceries? Sucker. You fell for that 52 fake out? They wasn't never going to lower the groceries. I told y'all all along, he's a charlatan. He's a shady used car salesman. He will say anything he needs to say to get what he wants. It's called grifting. Give me a moment. Let me have a sip of tea. I warned y'all. I told y'all. I told y'all. He's a grifter. Oh, Trump gonna drop the groceries and he gonna lower gas and everything is gonna be right in the world. And there's gonna be blue hearts and purple stars and blue diamonds and Lucky Charm skies. Everything was gonna be better under Trump. We are at January 2nd and America is on fire. We have UAPs, aka unidentified aerial phenomenon, formerly known as UFOs, but I guess UAPs and UFOs is on the Diddy thing. They got to change their name so you can forget about the past. I digress. Tried to warn you guys. I tried to warn. Those two egos are, listen, we already know that Elon Musk knows how to get in somewhere and bully somebody out their post. Look at Tesla. He got y'all out here thinking he created Tesla. He didn't create nothing. He's not as smart as y'all think he are. You think he is, but here's the deal. One guy who's not as smart as we think he is saw another guy who's not as smart as he knows the world thinks he is, and they said, you got this old commercial from the 70s. Hey, you got your peanut butter on my chocolate. Hey, you got your chocolate on my peanut butter. And then it came together and became Reese's. Oh, what is this going to come together and be? Because we told you. This is going to be a poop show of epidemic proportion. You think the Tesla blowing up was a sight to see? Wait till the 20th. All that talk about, oh, TikTok is horrible. This company should be banned. I want them banned. When I'm in office, they're going to be gone. Did you guys hear who sent a letter to the Supreme Court? The Supreme Court that he stacked with his people? He said, leave TikTok alone. Let me get in office. I'll take care of it. Because he ain't banning TikTok. It was all hyperbole. It was all the 52 fake out. Sleight of hand. And guess what? Gullible is as gullible does, and y'all fell for it. Y'all fell for it. I told y'all. Thank you, darling. Listen, I try to keep it comical over here. I'm a natural comedian. Everybody in the family has always said so. I am. So thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate it. But I had to give y'all these real truths. There's too much truth. Sometimes it's hard to take, but listen, girl, we got to take it. So let me read to you my little narrative that I put together. The Tesla bombing suspect major update. Matthew Allen Liversberger, the Trump Vegas bomb suspect, shot himself before the bomb exploded, police say. The Tesla Cybertruck contained a host of flammable items, including but not limited to firearms, oil cans, and other explosible items, which seem to have exacerbated the impact and potency of the exploding lithium batteries, which are highly explosive and flammable and toxic. The implications, in my opinion, is that this was a personal and targeted attack, an affront to the upcoming Trump administration, which includes Tesla owner Elon Musk. Now, if you don't think there is some sort of nefarious action taking place, including and not limited to a cover-up or some well-orchestrated thing, you are sadly mistaken. I literally listen to, and here's the funny thing, whenever something happens in a particular part of the country and they have to do a joint effort, the local police department in tandem with the FBI, oh, darling, those are some of the funniest press conferences you could ever see, because there's a lot of jockeying for position. It's what you call a proverbial pissing contest between men. It is, you guys are local, we're feds, we run shit. It is, you guys are the low totem pole dudes. We are the big guys. We wear the suits. Chill. It is hilarious. And guess what happens in the interim? A lot of tidbits of information that are not supposed to come out slip right out because everybody's trying to jockey for position. You can even tell when you're watching the press conference, the eyes. So when there's a press conference for any situation, I always watch the eyes of the people surrounding and their facial expressions. You'll hear someone standing in front of the podium and espousing a point of view. Well, the federal agency, blah, 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 and the person and the people on the side in the background be like, you learn everything by watching those people in the periphery. Everything. Yes, darling. Don't for 1 second believe that this is what it looks like. It doesn't pass the smell test to me. Not the least of which is we also had a horrific crime take place in New Orleans, in Louisiana. Someone in an F-1, first of all, we know who drives F-150s. As soon as I heard F-150, I said, okay. And here's how something doesn't pass the smell test. Because what did they come out and tell us? Now the details crept out about the New Orleans case. They said an F-150 drove down the main drag in New Orleans and mowed people down. Intentionally drove up on the sidewalk and mowed people down. Had a gun with a silencer and a suppressor. Now, let me tell you something about Pookie and Man Man. Pookie and Man Man ain't buying all them extra accessories to do no dirt. Okay? They've been imitating mafioso movies, turning their pow-pow sideways and missing all their targets for years, decades. Okay? Pookie and Man Man ain't buying all those extra things. They also said it was a person in a Ford F-150. We know the Ford F-150 crew. First of all, Ford F-150s are not cheap. Let's just put that on the table. They're not cheap cars. Second of all, in not being cheap cars, they cost a pretty penny. When Pookie and Man Man has that amount of money to buy a car, they don't opt for the Ford F-150. Now, there's a few scragglers on the end, but they don't opt for F-150. No, Pookie and Man Man got that kind of money to lay down or that kind of credit to get approved for. Baby, they getting a stunner. Now, if you told me that a G-Wagon or a Range Rover or something of the such is mowed down. The people are saying, Pookie and Man, what happened? What happened? Well, when you say Ford F-150, I say, Bobby, Karen, what happened? What went wrong? Then they kept not wanting to tell us who it was. They kept not wanting to divulge the identity of the person, not even a slightest hint. We can't release the information yet. We can't release the information yet. I said, oh, child, what 52 fake out are they pulling out? Because they done said F-150, baby. Like, who drives F-150s? Like, come on. If we have to go by what is happening in society and we have to go by just general stuff, who drive F-150s? No disrespect. Get out your feelings, everybody. Let's keep it a buck. When Pookie and Man and Bobby and Karen show up at the auto dealership, who is buying the F-150? Then all of a sudden, the person became Al-Huwaza as Felsawaza. Come on. Really? But because there are two different jurisdictions handling the cases and saying that they are the likelihood of connectivity is highly probable, how is it Al-Huwaza Felsawaza when you are saying he served in Fort Bragg, just like the other guy? He was a current military man, just like the other guy. They were in Afghanistan in 2000 now, just like, and they're both military. So how sway? Because you're telling us a whole different thing. You mixing your stories up now. Y'all done went too far. It's too many cooks spoil the stew. You know how it is in Big Mama Kitchen. You could come in that house, you could give her a kiss while she's sitting on that chair, that stool in the kitchen, watching her pots and looking at her stories. You better not touch nothing in her kitchen without washing her hands, and you better not touch her pots. Too many cooks spoil the stew. Too many hands in the pot spoil the stew. You got one jurisdiction over here saying this stuff and another jurisdiction in another part of the world saying a whole different thing, yet they're connected. So you're going to tell me Matthew Allen Selzelberger was connected to Al-Hajjaj? Really? Slow down, baby. You're going too fast. See, y'all didn't plan your story well enough. And now you out here playing in our face yet again. Have they showed? I didn't see them show any military ID card or any passport, because they sure showed one for Matthew Allen. And guess what they're saying now? He rented the F-150 from Turo also. Both of them? Both of them? Come on now. What's going on? What's going on? Something in the milk ain't clean. This says PSYOP, false flag, like a mug. Shout out, hey, Double D's on deck, and everyone that just came in. Debbie has 2 cats. Hey, everybody. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. These were 2 horrific, lots of horrific things took place. We had the horrific occurrence in New Orleans, which was, I saw CNN displayed the image of the scene, and there was a woman standing over a blurred out human who is no longer with us. And she looked so dazed. She was looking around like I was just talking to her or him. And she was looking over she was so, you could see she was standing and moving in trauma. So someone came out of the side of the building and came to her and kind of just took her like, come with me, step away, come with me. And she just was like, she didn't know what to do. She literally was just talking to her person, and now they were laid out. This is how soon the footage, how quickly that footage was obtained. CNN showed it, but they blurred out as much as they could, but you could still see the outline of the bodies. It was that fresh. Not only did this person intentionally mow down living human beings, but they also pow-powed. What is the agenda? Listen, There are people who are going through. There are people who are severely depressed. There are people for whom life has reached a plateau or a climax and you feel like you have nowhere else to go. Why must you take others with you? If you don't want to be here no more, I pray that God's grace and mercy falls upon you, that something makes you know, and this too shall pass. But if you've really reached the very, very end of your plateau, why must you take innocent souls with you? Why other people got to go too? How were they connected to your sadness or your dastardly experience with life? Why must they go? Why are people so vicious, so horrific, so disgusting that they feel like when their time is up, so too are innocent bystanders? Wow. Why? Why? This seems to be an epidemic in this country. Why are you so disgusted and so disgusting that you have to ruin 29 other lives? I made a video today. I was very traumatized. In the middle of the night, I woke up. A mass shooting in Queens, New York. Inside of a club called Amazura. A place that I had an Easter jam for kids with some friends of mine. We had some other people that own businesses in New York back in the days when I used to own my beauty salons. We all got together and had a big Easter jam at this place. This is a phenomenal event hall. It's huge, nicely decorated. They weren't even having a party that day. They were having a memorial and a get-together for a 16-year-old child who was unalived last year. Yesterday commemorated what would have been that child, Terrion. I have that story too. The child's name is Terrion Mongo of Brooklyn, New York. He was 16 years old. It was a memorial for him because he was unfortunately shot and unalived last year in the fall. And yesterday commemorated his 17th, what would have been his 17th birthday party. There were, at the time of the shooting, 90 people inside the event space, and they were at capacity. So there were 15 people online, at or about 15 people online. These 15 people ranged in age from 16 to 20, as well as the bouncers and other personnel outside. 4 guys came around the corner, 4 males, came around the corner, walked up the block, and proceeded to let off what amounted to be 30 plus shots, striking 10 people, 6 young ladies and 4 males. Why? Why? How did such a disdain for life come into being? And it's funny because I've been doing this I've been doing my own study within the community. There was a time where I said to my daughter, wow, look at all these young boys. In my generation, you wouldn't see all these young guys and teenagers and grown black men walking around with little shorts, light basketball shorts on, or not even those regular long basketball shorts they used to wear. Those little, the short shorts the guys was wearing. Not super short shorts, but you know what I mean. Not typical oversized basketball pants, regular fitted shorts with slides on and socks. Now, if you ever wanted to have grip in a pair of shoes, slides ain't gonna cut it. And if you add socks to it, you are asking to never make it anywhere. It's like the cartoon of Scooby-Doo running in place but never getting anywhere, just feet spinning but never going anywhere. And I made this assessment like, in my generation, you would never see this. But then I stopped one day and my daughter and myself were at a restaurant eating, and I had to stop and say, you know what? I've been looking at this all wrong. I've been looking at this all wrong. That's not what this is. This is not just lackadaisical boys not being masculine enough and wearing shorts and slides. I said, oh my God. I almost fell to, looking at it from a very rudimentary lens instead of looking deep in it. It wasn't an insult to young Black men and Black grown men and boys and wearing slides and socks and little. It was a mentality. That's why I tell you, your purview, the paradigm from which you view life, if you skew it, you will see life from another perspective. I had to realize these guys are not less masculine because they're wearing this. They perceive themselves to have an overwhelming feeling of safety. In my generation, you had to be laced up, suited, and booted because at any given time you had to run. In the 80s and the 90s, when I was coming of age, you had to be ready to get ghost. These young people can walk around in slides because the world has changed. Although crime still exists, the landscape of the world has changed so drastically, they don't perceive themselves to be in danger. You can't perceive yourself to be in danger and wear slides out the house. I've never seen so much grown men in flip-flops and slides in my 54, almost 55 years. It is a perception of safety. That is beautiful to me. I started looking at it from a different light. I said, oh my God, my Black brothers out here feeling safe in this world. I love it. I absolutely love it. And dependent on the part of town that you're in, I mean, they really like slide, Yeezy slides, whatever kind of slides. They relaxed. There is not a perception of fear. There is an overwhelming perception of safety. How beautiful. Thank you, Father God. What a beautiful thing. In our generations, where the people that are my age coming up, you wasn't going to go to no, I don't care if you lived in a bougie part of town. I don't care if you lived in a moderate part of town. I don't care if you was middle class. I don't care if you lived in the hood. You wasn't going to go nowhere. I want somebody to show me a picture from the 80s and the 90s with a dude with slides on. Any kind of slides, flip-flops, anything. Sandals, you won't see it. Sandals was damn near forbidden for Black men, unless you was an uncle and you was on the grill. It's the only way you took a pass. Granddaddy cutting the grass and unk on the grill. Am I telling the truth or not? That was the only way you could wear sandals and get away with it. And nobody say a word. And it's still true to this day. You go to a cookout and Big Unk is on the grill and he ain't got no sandals on. We call them chancletas in New York. He ain't got no chancletas on, baby. That food is liable to be suspect. But if Unk got a toothpick in the corner of his mouth that never dropped, or a cigarette, and it never drops, if he got on one of them, what we call the check cashing shirts, the Asian man doing karate or something on the shirt, and it's kind of silky, Polly and Esther, the twins, he got him some shorts on, and he might have some socks on too, come up to his shin bone or his calf muscle, but he got on some sandals, baby. Pull up a plate. That food is gonna slap, as they say. Good. However, you got people out here wearing slides. I said, my God, the world has gotten safer. So then think to yourself, if Black men from 15 to 50 are walking around in slides, How could the first 2 days of the year have this much violence in it and not be an agenda? I know sometimes it seems like I'm straying off on a tangent, but I always bring it back around because these eyes of mine, that reaches far and wide. Think for yourself. Take a moment. Shout out to Luna for the super sticker. We appreciate you, my love. Thank you so much for your blessing and the super sticker. Thank you. Kat, you up in here laughing, girl? I'm serious. Think about it. You go to the malls, you go to, whether you're in a building mall, a structured building mall, or in the strip malls that, you drive up to the storefront, think about it. I don't care what city you're in. Any city, USA, you can go to a mall or somewhere. You're going to see some dudes, and they got dudes on the corner and slides. They feel safe. And what a beautiful thing. So how then are we at January 2nd and we have had all of this mass casualty in 2 days, not even 2 full days, a day and a half? How, Sway? Something in the milk is unequivocally, absolutely, wholeheartedly not clean. So if you think that this man who lives in Colorado, I don't care how much money the government has, I don't care how much access to everything that they need they have, you're not going to tell me, let me put on my, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego hat? You know how she tilted up a little, is up like this and down like this? Even Carmen Sandiego ain't get from Colorado. First of all, they had to figure out who it was. They didn't get from Colorado to Las Vegas, from Las Vegas to Colorado to in that man's house, to searching through his stuff, to find a hairbrush with the ever-present DNA on it, or his toothbrush, to get back and test. It was burnt to smithereens. Anyone who watches crime shows, suspense thrillers, no. If you want to eradicate all of the DNA and possible evidence, you burn it. You burn it. You tell me that they got a fingerprint off of some burned, charred fingers. I saw a show before where a body started to decompose. It was exposed to the elements. It started to decompose, and the fingers had shriveled up because it was in the sun and the elements. Shout out to Keisha DeBose for the super sticker, my love. I thank you so much. I'm glad you back up in here, girl. You had me shook for a minute. They got from Colorado, from Las Vegas to Colorado, all the way back to Las Vegas with 3 strands of hair and a toothbrush and tested all that. Come now. Come now, my pretty. You can't get me with the banana in the tailpipe. No. I watched a body that had decomposed and shriveled. The fingers were shriveled down to nothing. You want to know, and they were concerned. They had the body for over 2 weeks, and they were concerned they were not going to be able to do an identification because they had found certain parts of the body, but they found the hand. They did not find the head. And they were like, how are we going to make an identification? Well, they had a young girl who was in the coroner medical examiner's office. And she came up with something where she said she had been working on some stuff and she formulated a solution to rehydrate the fingers. This body had decomposed. She rehydrated 3 of the fingers, injected them with the solution that rehydrated them. She had to let them sit for a while till the rehydration could settle in. And it was so she had to overfill it because she knew it would settle out to where it was what would have been a natural fill. And then once she rehydrated them, she was able to roll and get a print. There was not even a head with the body. You know how long that take? You're not going to play them a face and tell me, say, they went from Vegas to Colorado, got in the house, got the hairbrush, got a toothbrush, pull out 3 strands of hair, get the liquor toothbrush DNA, and then go to a burnt carcass and get DNA. Listen, Gloria did not raise any fools. And I know your mamas didn't either. I'm going to need us to stop taking whatever they tell us and start using critical thinking skills. It is the only way the foolishness stops. Stop allowing them to tell you any old thing. Like Jane Doe's father said he doesn't remember that. Anybody tell me what Jane Doe's father looked like and send me a clip of him saying that. I will send you $50. Don't look for it anytime soon because it don't exist. There is no video. You don't even know if Jane Doe's father's alive. You don't even know if Jane Doe's father has mental issues. You don't know if she is in her 30s now and she was 13. That means he was of a certain age. He could be, that means he's older. He could have early onset senility or dementia. He could be ill. He could have, and memory ain't worth a dang, but y'all let the little reporter who the Kardashians them use to fake the valuation of Kylie's cosmetics so that they could finesse the Coty makeup company into thinking their valuation was $1 billion, that she had earned $1 billion. So if you earn $1 billion, that means your company's even higher than that. So your company has to be way high for you to draw $1 billion in equity salary. They use that reporter to finesse and make fake reports and interview them under these fake guises so they can put in the air for gullible people who pick up whatever's dropped down in the media and they believe the hype. Oh, everything they touch turns to gold. Oh my God, the company, she earned $1 billion. Oh, we're going to buy it. And guess what? They finessed Coty into buying 49% of a company that did not have a valuation of $1 billion. They mad. They tried to sue them. I don't know. The suit might have went on. And guess who it was connected to? Good old Lou Taylor, who was the conservator, business manager for Britney and a whole bunch of other people. And guess who she's connected to? Puffy. Listen, stop believing what anybody tells you. You have to have such a discerning eye and ear. This is what happened to me over 25 years. People used to be like, oh, you're such a skeptic. Oh, you're a conspiracy theory. But you know what it gave me? Which I had before then, but extremely discerning ears and eyes and critical thinking skills. You cannot blow smoke and tell me it's a barbecue. You cannot spit on me and tell me it's raining. You cannot. I need all of y'all to think deep like that on everything. You know who the true billionaire was? Rihanna. All while they were trying to finesse you. You got to remember, somebody's suing the Kardashians right now, Khloe, because Khloe done stole the girl dress company. The girl had a dress company and created these dresses. Khloe ordered one of the dresses and not Khloe, excuse me, what was the Kylie, the young one, the fake billionaire. She ordered one of the girls' dresses before, wore it on a photo shoot, and then had her people recreate the same dress and put it out and said, look at my new dress. And everybody started buying her dress, which was a complete and utter replica, ripoff, interpolation of the girl's dress. That is what they do. They are the 52 fake out finesse squad. They should not be able to tell you nothing. Their word is equivalent to Jay-Z doesn't know Puffy. They were just business partners. They were never friends. The same credibility that Alex Spiro get, that's the credibility they get. Discerning ears and eyes. I keep telling y'all, it's just the second day of the year. You want fresh perspectives on everything you thought and you thought you knew? Come on over here. Because after I finish looking at it and we talk about it, you can go back and verify everything I say. And I bet you that. You're going to tell me a plane crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, a 747 eviscerated down to nothing but a scorched earth, the shape of a plane, but you found some red handkerchiefs, and some slightly charred ID cards for some terrorists? How, Sway? They ain't got all the answers. How? But they play in people's face, and here we are, 20-something years past 9/11, and people still think the Taliban did it, or whoever they call. When it was homegrown, the U.S. did that to itself. You know what they call that? Casualties of war. If y'all don't open your ears and your eyes, look for a documentary called Loose Change. Make sure it's the loose change that is about 9/11. You're going to have your poor little heart. Prepare to have your heart broken. This is what we're going to do for 2025. We are going to deprogram from all of the lies, all of the mashugana, all of the psyops, all of the false flags, all of the 52 fake outs. We're going to deprogram from all of that, and we're going to reprogram with the real deal. I've been telling y'all, Dre_OG, go over there, tell them the dopest nerd sent you. I am Q Hef, go over there, watch what they're putting down, tell them the dopest nerd sent you. Right 7X, go over there, watch, tell them the dopest nerd sent you. We have, in a week and a half, and a little less on the half, in about a week, we had 4 plane crashes. Y'all think that that's normal? 4 plane crashes. One crash in South Korea they crashed on the ground and everybody was unalive. How, Sway? How? Because of a bird strike? They're telling you a bird strike hit the engine or the propellers and it crashed on the runway and everybody was unalived. And so I ask you, who on the plane cured the big C, cured some disease that hadn't been, or created some sort of treatment or cure from some incurable thing that who created a way to turn atmospheric moisture into a liquid that could run a car on? Because I'm telling you, whenever you hear random plane crashes, somebody on that plane was a genius. And they had to stop you before you got into their pockets. Because they're pocket watchers. There's pocket watchers in big world. There's pocket watchers globally. There's pocket watchers on YouTube. Shout out to Locked. She put Loose Change documentary in the chat. Make sure it's because they made a couple of loose changes since then to throw people off. Make sure it's the loose change that's about 9/11. Yeah. Listen, my little sister worked. She did an internship, the one that was here the other day, at Bank of New York, right across from the World Trade Center. They offered her a full-time job. She was on break for the summer from college. She wanted to take the job. My mother said, "Oh no, you're going back to school." She said, "I want to take the job." "No, you are going back to school." By the grace of God, my mother made her go back to school. It was directly across from the World Trade Center. Listen to me. I have friends that were in the World Trade Center, that were firefighters in the World Trade Center. I have a homeboy who just died 2 years ago, Ozzy, rest in peace, Ozzy. He went back to school. He was from Crown Heights, Brooklyn. He came from the block I came from, down a few blocks, but the street I came from, Ozzy was my homie Pastrami. He was on I used to have, for those of you who don't know, I used to have a talk radio show. and it was called Having My Say, a Black Talk radio show. Ozzy was my first guest. This was my homeboy who went back to school and became a neurophysicist. From the hood, cool as a fan, went back to school and became a neurophysicist. And was, when I tell, if you think I'm smart, Ozzy was smarter than a mother. And he was the type of homeboy every woman needs. He made it his business to come to his homegirls, his sisters, and say, yo, if there's ever a time where you're in a situation with a man and you feel like your safety is at risk, or you don't feel like he is respecting your autonomy, call me. I got it. I'll take care of it. Call me. I don't care if you're with him. I don't care if you're somewhere else and he's harassing you. I don't care. Call me and I'm on it. This was the type of man Ozzy is. His name was Oswald V. Bunbury. Okay? Not your run-of-the-mill, boo. Black dude. Oswald Bunbury. Caribbean. Brilliant. Fiercely brilliant. In fact, I'm going to find that episode of my radio show, because we videoed also, and I'm going to put it on the YouTube page. The man was brilliant. Brilliant. And he was an earner. Rest in peace to Ozzy. Shout out to his wife, Sharice, and his children. Ozzy was my friend for a long, long time. Let me tell you something. One of the most, when we had that conversation and he said that to me, and I was like, well, what do you need your sister to do for you? What need can I fill? When you say something like that, when you extend a grace like that to me, it is only right. And it's not like we're scorekeeping, but it's only right. What grace can I extend to you? Ozzy always had a smile on his face. You know what he said to me? I just need to talk. Guess what we talked about? That he had never truly gotten over the triggering. Ozzy had a skyscraper condo across from 9/11. He was on his balcony and watched the freaking planes hit and the buildings go down. When he told me, I still have a video of it, Eb, I said, what? He showed me the video. He showed me the video. He said, I have never. When I tell you this man, when they say check on your strong friends, check on your strong friends. Their building was so friggin' close. I could hear all the talking in the household and everybody in me. This man confided in me that day that he had never truly gotten over that. Ozzy, there was never a picture of Ozzy. I'm going to bring a picture of Ozzy and post it to there was never a picture of Ozzy where he wasn't smiling. The man was full of energy, light, laughter, doing his thing. You hear me? I mean, a magnificent man. He confided in me that day. I've never gotten over that building collapse. You don't know what people are carrying. You don't know what people are carrying. But here's one thing I do know. By no means was that just a building collapse. That was a controlled demolition. If you watch Loose Change, you will see where they show you whenever they go to a city and let's say they're going to tear down an old skyscraper because they're going to build up something new in that part of town, and they do a controlled demolition and that building implodes on itself. That is exactly how the World Trade Centers 1 and 2 fell. In the footage, I remember watching, listen, on 9/11, I was on the phone with my mother. I had already been relocated out of state. Her office was at the World Trade Center. My mother was on her way to work down the West Side Highway. I was on the phone with her. She literally said to me, on my grandmother's existence, she said to me, while we were on the phone, oh my God. I said, what? Somebody cut you off? She said, no. They just said a plane hit the World Trade Center. I said, what? I said, Mommy, Planes don't fly. That's a no-fly zone. She said, I know. It must have been. She said, maybe it was one of those small planes and they went off course. I said, off course to the World Trade Center? That don't sound right. She was like, yeah, it doesn't. She was like, yeah, it must be one of them small planes. That's terrible. Those poor people. And then click, the phone cut off. I tried to call my mother back. She was en route to work. I was en route to work. A little while later, I got to work. I tried to call this woman over and over. It wouldn't go through. It was like the phone lines were dead. So all of a sudden, I ran into the job and I turned on the TV. And these chicks in there, these old hood boogers, had on Jerry Springer. I ran in there and I turned the channel. So there was one girl that could not stand me. I'll tell you the story of that another time. My car got towed at the airport. I went to pick up my car. This was the tow yard that tows people's car from the airport. When I got there, I was all in a good mood and laughing and smiling and talking to people. And this man in the side was like, you in such a good mood. Nobody comes down here in such a good mood. You must really be a woman of God, because I ain't never seen this in my life. He's like, what's got you so happy? And I was like, I'm just a happy person. I said, I knew I was running late. I had to get my nephew to the airport. He was flying by himself. I was running late. I parked in the front. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. So got to face the consequences. He said, well, you are such a bright light. He said, where you work? He said, you're not from here. I said, no, I'm from New York. He said, well, where do you work? I said, I don't work. He said, you want a job? I was like, it depends. What is it about? And how much does it pay? He said, well, we can have that discussion. We ended up having that discussion. He said, can you be here on Monday? I said, indubitably. I went there on Monday. I stepped in. I was doing my work. In no time, he promoted me to the manager. Oh, baby. These chicks in there wanted my head on a stick. You hear me? They wanted to burn me in effigy. And the main ringleader that hated my guts was this chick. How you gonna turn the TV? I said, something is going on and I want to know. It's going to forever change the world as we know it. Does anybody care about what's going on in New York? I said, heifer, touch that TV and see. These girls was in there gassing. Oh, you gonna let her talk to you like that? I said, anybody touch this TV, we gonna fight. Because for me, I was concerned with my mama, who was right up the street on that road, and the phone cut off. She just told me a plane hit. When I turned the TV on and we saw what was going on, everybody was, oh, I was like, oh my God, my mother. That was my greatest concern. On top of what was happening, it took me 13 hours to hear from my mother again in the midst of all that. My mother was on the West Side Highway. If you know anything about the World Trade Center, that's where it is. And by the grace of God, it took my mother 13 hours to get back home because everything was shut down. Everything was covered in by the grace of God. And so don't let anybody fool you. In the video, as I watched all day, I could see the pow, 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 the sparks going off up and down the building. Watch that documentary. Watch Loose Change. It is 20 something years later, and some people in this country still think some guys flew from over there and took over the plane and they made a cute movie. And the people, how on earth did they know that the people on the plane said, let's roll? How, Sway? Back then, you think you could get on a cell phone and call? Come on, stop playing in my face. Why do y'all let these things go on? Why do y'all let these farces take place? Why do you believe these things and repeat these things? And you know that you have to use your good judgment to know it was a farce. Yeah, you could see the implosions. You could see the implosions. Wow. You could see the controlled demolitions going off one by one by one down the building. The World Trade Center, I wrote a paper about it when I was in the 5th grade. I said, New York City is the entertainment, financial epicenter of the world. And the main address of that location, the crossroads of that location, is the World Trade Center. I wrote that in the 5th grade. And it came to pass. It already was. I said it was the fashion, entertainment, and financial epicenter of the world. How did later World Trade 7 fall down, where they kept all the bearer bonds and the gold? How? You know, World Trade 7 was blocks away. It wasn't right next to them. It was a couple blocks away. Y'all have got to stop believing. Absolutely it didn't. But listen, outside of Trump, all of the architects that had the courage to speak have been saying this. You know who did loose change? A bunch of young guys who decided to investigate. They were journalists, some of them were scientists, they were all different walks of life. They decided to investigate. All measure of things went down. Every time somebody got too close to the truth, all types of stuff happened. The same for this. These are called psyops, psychological operations. Stop falling for the okie doke. We are the nerd herd. We don't take the superficial answer. We look deeper. We look deeper. We think critically. We don't take what's superficial because it looks like. We say, Now, if you take this and this, that is what we do. We don't take the quick, easy answer. And I hope Alexis didn't get angry because I don't see her typing in the chat anymore. I wasn't taking advantage. I wasn't making fun of you, Alexis. I was simply illustrating. Do not, here at the Nerd Herd, we think deep. We do not take superficial stuff and spread that around. It is too easy. People fall okie doke to those type of things all the time. We are not doing that here. We are the Nerd Herd. Nerds don't ever take any. We are investigative minds. That's what we do. That's what we do. You got to temper. You have to go in and see if your notifications are on all. I knew that. I said a lot of people are not getting notifications. I don't want to tell you to unthing and go back in because sometimes that affects something. But make sure that thank you, Charlotte Bennett, and everybody who just came in. Thank you, everybody. Absolutely, Archangel Michael. The BBC reported that it fell before it did in the background. I remember that. If I'm not mistaken, that footage is in Loose Change too. Wait till you watch it. And Loose Change was done way back in the days. They have done everything to get rid of Loose Change. Make sure it is the Loose Change that is connected to 9/11, the documentary. Not that they made some other movie try to co-opt the title so that people would not find it. Don't fall for the okie doke. Make sure it's the right one. Now think about this. What is the correlational relationship between a man driving a Tesla CyberTruck, the company owned by Elon Musk, driving from Colorado all the way to Las Vegas in a truck he rented? You know how much a CyberTruck? Let's see if anybody knows. Without Googling, tell me what your guess is on how much you think a base model CyberTruck costs. Think about it. Put your guesses in the chat. Come on, guys. I see one. I see Base Girl. I see Locked. I see D Froggies. I see Debbie has 2 cats. So a base model Tesla without a base model Cybertruck without all the bells and whistles, the base is like 168. With the bells and whistles, to just get it comfortably nice, and you might decide to get a wrap, you like 225, 250. So how much you think it costs to rent that? That wasn't cheap either. Somebody know they getting ready to go unalive themselves. That's what you rent? Come on. He could have got a regular Tesla. Listen, guys, do you remember sometime last year there was a movie called Leave the World Behind? Who remembers that? Who remembers that there was a movie called Leave the World Behind? Well, if you have good credit, you certainly got it, but I know it's a scammer special. The scammers love the Cybertruck, baby. You guys remember the movie Leave the World Behind? Okay, you read the book. And yes, Murph said yes. And that was made by the Obamas. It is my sincere belief that movie was really a documentary and a love letter to the American people that says, Michelle, you're not familiar with that movie? Please go watch Leave the World Behind. How many people have watched Leave the World Behind? If you saw Leave the World Behind, put the emoji with the glasses, the nerd emoji in the chat. Yes, just like what Locked put that in there. If you saw Leave the World Behind, put that nerd emoji with the glasses, the clear glasses, in the chat. I need to see who saw that movie. Wow, I can't believe it. You guys, listen. Movies are not just movies. They have been telling us, I'm going to illustrate some movies right now where they've been telling us the truth for quite some time. It's going to change the way you look at life. Y'all came to the right place, baby. Oh, you at the nerd herd now, baby. We don't play over here. We are for real over here. You're going to get some deep thinking whether you like it or not. You come up in here, you're going to get some learning. Listen, honey, when you become a president, they give you something called the President's Book of Life. This book has all things that you could have only imagined, that you speculate, it has it all in there. Everything, the President's Book, got all kinds of information. Trust me, they was reluctant to get that mug to Trump. And Trump been blasting their behinds ever since. I ain't a fan of his. I'm not a fan of his. But the one thing I like is, and what they feared is, he's not keeping secrets. See, because every superpower nation has fallen. In order for history to reset, sometimes you got to fall down to get back up again. Look, what's his name told you? We fall down, but we get up. We fall down, but we get up. We fall down, but we get up. The President's Book of Secrets. Everything under the sun is in that book. And so you are beholden to a code of silence and secrecy once you've been able to crack that book. Thank you. I'm a vocalist. I'm a singer. This climate, weather, everything going around stuff. Let me tell you something. In that movie, I instantly said, wait a minute. I kept looking at different things. I was like, so those of you who did see it, there's a part of the movie where they're a family that lives in the city. In fact, the apartment in Brooklyn that they were in, I was like, I know this apartment. I felt like I knew that apartment. Like it was an apartment that somebody I knew lived in before. However, girl, it's a whole lot in this bag, girl. A whole lot in this bag. Yeah, we ain't even touched the surface. But you will start to see it. You'll see me going in the bag in 2025 and pulling things out for you guys. Listen. I started noticing things instantly. So in New York, you'll have people that live in a city, but they vacation in, they might vacation at Martha's Vineyard, or my mom has a house in Martha's Vineyard. Trust me, guys, if you're ever on the East Coast, go there. It is delightful. Or they go to the Hamptons, or lots of little things. They go to Provincetown, Maine. They go to all these different things. There's all these little sleepy bed communities with Airbnbs, and it's very coastal and it's so sweet, and you could just chill. And it's super fly. And it's not that far from the city. You just jump on a little bus, you go over, you come back in the city, Monday, you're ready for work. A lot of people leave work early on Friday. They have their bag with them. They go, they chill, they come back. It's us. We got the China buses, baby. China bus take you anywhere, $15, $30, anywhere. I'm talking other states. Yes. So I started noticing, okay, they're leaving the city for a little getaway for the what were they going for, the weekend maybe, or long weekend, whatever. As soon as they got out there, I said, they're on the beach, and I saw that tanker far out in the shore, and the kid was looking at it like, but then every time we went to another scene and the mom was talking to the dad and the brother was talking about something, and we look again and it's getting closer and closer. And I was like, hello, how close y'all gonna let that thing get to the beach before y'all leave? And then when it was ridiculously, oh, Kat, your mom got married on Martha's Vineyard. Isn't it adorable? Darling, if you haven't been to the vineyard, you don't know what you're missing. It is honestly one of my favorite places in the world. I always say, someday I will have my own vineyard house. And it is where I have so much peace. I literally have never had more peace than when I'm in the vineyard. And that's the God's honest truth. I absolutely love it. So, thank you, darling. Thank you. I'm glad I make you guys laugh. So, when the boat was coming to the shore, the boat had a name. The name of the boat was one of the first, it was the name of one of the boats that brought the enslaved Africans over to the shores, transatlantic slave name. So I was just like, huh? Okay, what is that about? There are Easter eggs in this movie that when you assemble all those Easter eggs, there is talk about prepping. There's a point where one neighbor had been prepping nonstop, and he's a prepper. And then the black guy, who also owned a house out in this vineyard-esque type place, they live in the city, the White Lion, baby. Thank you, Kat. Oh, Kat, I see somebody getting 100 on a test. Come on now, Kat. Come get your 100, girl. Michelle said, I love the vineyard. Me too. Absolutely. So the black man whose family owned the house, a marvelous house nonetheless, and they were accomplished people. They were not necessarily preppers, but they had things in their house. He lets the guy who's on vacation in their house, who Airbnb'd their house, come and try to get mad with the neighbor who's been prepping all this time because he knew what was coming. How dare you? And then the man was mad. I need some of your supplies for my son. Listen, I'm sorry about your son. I really do hope y'all work that out, but I'm under no obligation to give you that. Now, it's kind to give. It's kind if he should so choose, but he is under no obligation to give you all of his prepping supplies that he took the predetermined, premeditated time to assemble, stockpile, itemize, keep it organized in the event of a time such as that in the movie. How dare you come ring my bell as a stranger and demand that I give you my good prepping supplies when I got a family I need to protect too? See, you can't expect nobody to do for you what you won't do for your damn self. If you didn't say, you know what, perhaps we need to consider the world. If you weren't so la-di-da and oblivious to things and apathetic to what's going on in the world at large, you wouldn't find yourself without. Let that be a lesson to you guys. I will be doing a show soon on prepping, what you need to have in your prep bag. I'm going to play a prepping video for you, and we're going to do a reaction, and you're going to hear, and you're going to get yourself some stuff. Don't sit around and look for a handout, because trust and believe. It is not if it's going to happen. It is when it happens. They had all these things. They had plane crashes. They had fog, unidentified fog. They had the prep. They listen. You take, they had this White Lion ship, which carried all those shipping crates and all the stuff that's going on right now. Listen, act like y'all know, please. Act like y'all know. Where is my girl Alexis? Are you? I know you're not angry at me and left the chat. Alexis, we got thick skin over here, boo. Oh, let me see. Alexis, come back in this chat. She left the chat. She felt like I was picking on her. She's new here because I'm not familiar with her name. And she felt like I was picking on her. I was not. I just need my community. This is why I don't like outsiders coming in and poisoning the minds of our people. I don't mind if they come in and contribute. But you cannot come in and wax poetic so hard like, no, this is what it is. They went to his house at 4:50 p.m. and all that. Get out of here with that. You have to be able to see through the okie doke. Temper says, I met a lady whose grandfather was there in the beaches of Normandy, the ending scene, and was talking to her. Made me see the Easter eggs in that movie. I missed a lot. Absolutely. A lot of people did. Because people have to understand, universal law dictates. Universal law dictates all of the stuff that they do to us, they have to tell us. There is an old cliche. If you want to hide information from people, put it in a book. This is the nerd herd, baby. We don't miss the info. We are the info. Don't let it pass your eye. Look deeper at everything. That is why I always say, I am not going over there into messy tube to get into the muck and the mire and swoosh around in the slop with nobody. We got learnings to do over here. We got information to share over here. When ish go down, all them people on messy talk, on messy tube is going to slide over here and be like, please, sir, could I have some of your rations? And then when we say, I'm sorry, darling, I only have rations for me and the nerd herd and my children. I have nothing to spare. Try down the road. And then they're going to come to one of your house. Knock, 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 knock. Please, sir, please, would you be so kind as to give me some of your rations? Me and my children are hungry. We haven't eaten in days. Perhaps while you was sliding around in the muck and mire on messy tube, you should have been packing your bug out bag. I am not going to feel, as much as I'm a woman of God, I am not going to feel bad about the masses who listened to me and said, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, I don't believe any of that. Oh, you watch too much TV. No, sir, you cannot have any of my rations. I'm sorry. What's the point in me giving you one piece of ration? I need it for my family, and that one piece is only going to hold you but so long. Why would I do that to you and tempt you to make you feel like there's a possibility that you're going to make it through with that little piece of rations? I'm going to keep my rations for me and my family. Because we all have access to the information. Like I tell my people, I said this on my, I used to call into another radio show, a talk radio show. Actually, incidentally, the talk radio show that helped me get my own radio show. I'll tell you how I got my own talk radio show. So I used to listen to a show called this old brain. I'm going to tell y'all right now. Forgive me, child. It's just sometime, the senior moment pop in. The Movement with Dr. F. Keith Slaughter. And Too Much Truth with Derek Bozeman. I would listen to The Movement, and The Movement, it was a call-in talk show, and they would talk about topics that related to the Black, community and family and things of that nature. And I would call in, and if you call in and you make a very profound and poignant point in your statement, in your call-in comment, they would drop a bomb on you. And so I was one of the most heavily bombed people on the show. I'm humble. I appreciate it. I receive it. And so they start with it. They also had a corresponding Facebook group, and they had this thing that said, "Let Natanya host." Everybody called me Eb over there, but let Eb host when Dr. F.Q. Slaughter's on vacation. I was just a caller. I mean, he was my friend as well. I knew him personally. But everybody started lobbying for me to be the host of the show whenever he was on vacation. Because whenever he was on vacation, they would put up this other guy, a couple of people. And let's just say, while they were very nice people, it was the equivalent of watching paint dry. Very, very uneventful. And so everybody was trying to get me to be the host. And I was like, wow, I was flattered. I was humbled and flattered. So one day, his show producer was on the phone, and me and him were cool because I would call all the time. We knew each other. And one day I called and he said, "Oh, you ain't calling a minute, girl. I got a message for you." And I was like, "What?" And he said, "Somebody's trying to give you your own show." I said, "Stop playing with me." He said, "I'm not playing with you, Eb. The man said he want to give you your own show. Call this number." So I was like, "What?" I thought he was trying to play me. I was like, "I'm not for no games now." He said, "No, here's the number." He gave me the number because apparently this man used to listen to the show too. And he thought that I had very erstwhile point of view and a fresh perspective and something to say. And so I called and I went down there and we had a meeting, and I went down to this, it was at a radio station. I went down to the radio station and he was like, "We'd like to offer you a show." I was like, "What?" I was flabbergasted. I was flattered. I was like, "Wow. Yeah, we got some learnings to do over here." That's right. That's right, Miss Charlotte. And he said, "I want to offer you a show." So I had a 1 hour, 1 day a week show. It was Mondays, 8 to 9, baby, in no time. And Ozzy was on that first show. In no time, my following grew so much. They said, "We have so many calls to the station for your show. The volume of the calls we get for your show has far surpassed any show, and some of these shows have been on for years. We want to offer you 3 shows. 3 days." So I went from 1 hour, 1 day a week to 3 hours, 2 days a week. 3 hours each day, 2 days a week. Baby, when I tell you I'd be late for everything, the only thing I was never late for was my show. Never. And boy, when I tell you, a time was had on that show. We had a phenomenal show. And so it only made sense for me to do this. And back then, people were telling me to get on YouTube. But I was like, sometimes. Perhaps if I went on YouTube back then, I would be out of the stratosphere. But everything in God's time. I'm going to be out of the stratosphere here too. But it was a fantastic show. And I did have a lot to say. And I challenged my people to think. We cannot take narratives that are pushed and just take them for face value. People, listen, let me tell you something about education. My mother always said, so there were some specialized high schools in New York City. Brooklyn Technical High School, Stuyvesant High School. Brooklyn Tech was in Brooklyn. Stuyvesant High School was in Manhattan. Bronx High School of Science was in the Bronx. And I believe there was one more. But those are the big 3. My mother had a theory. So the school I went to, we all had like extremely high, it was very Montessori and magnet school back when that wasn't a thing. We competed with each other. We were overachievers. A guy I went to school with got a perfect score in the SAT back in the 80s. Like, we literally were overachievers. When we were in the 5th grade, and they give you those state specialized tests, the standardized tests, and most people in the 5th grade might get a 5.6, whatever. We were like 11.2 in the 5th grade. And we were always 12 point something. If you had in the 5th grade, forget it. If you had a 5 point something, we considered you, no disrespect to special ed, we considered you special ed. Because while you had your 5 point something, we was 11 point something, 11th grade. Listen, we had 12 point something from the 5th grade on up every year. If somebody slipped or somebody had a 10 point something, we was looking at them like, ooh, go sit over there. Like, we were elitists, educational elitists, and I was proud of it. And I ain't gonna feel no shame about it. Educational elitist. You hear me? Education was number 1 in my house. We could do a whole lot of stuff, but you couldn't bring a failing grade home. You bring a 97 home, my mother be like, so what are you, average? You couldn't just get the last 3 points? I mean, I'm telling you, it's a heartbreaker. But I understood as I grew older that this woman wanted us to understand that there was always something to aspire to, always something to achieve. People that rested on their laurels. I had a girlfriend, no shade, not going to say her name. Not going to say her name. Very spoiled. Because I came from it was a very Jack and Jill-esque crowd of kids. I'll say that. It ran the gamut. But, the little crew we were with. I'm not going to say her name. I love her dearly. But she could get like a 75 and get a new pair of shoes. I never forget. She got a 75 in this class. And her mom and dad took her shopping to this boutique in Trump Plaza. And they bought her these black suede shoes with this jewel-encrusted butterfly on the front. And I was mystified and absolutely in love with those shoes. And thinking, wow, a 75. My mother would break my neck, not buy me butterfly shoes. But I love them shoes. And shout out to everybody. Listen, nobody has to be at the same standard. Everybody is at their own standard. And that's my homegirl. I love her dearly. But I loved those shoes. I wanted those shoes so bad. I remember those shoes. I am 54. That was pretty sure that was the 5th or 6th, or 5th grade. No, she went away for the 6th grade, maybe. One of those two. But I wanted them shoes. Them shoes was popping. You hear me? Popping. We were educational elitists. Grades was our tangible commodity. Brains, being intelligent, we were multilingual. That's I keep telling y'all. Yo habla español. Je parle français. And listen, the pronunciation is impeccable. I taught when my daughter was, so we are linguists in my family. When my daughter was, she is 17 now. When she was still 1, she was like a year and a half, she could count and greet you in 5 languages: French, English, Spanish, Swahili, and Japanese. Yes. My daughter, I never forget, I was working somewhere one day when I was relocated, and I walked in, and there was this chick, she had the heaviest Spanish accent, but in her mind, she sounded like this. So, well, theoretically, I suppose, when she sounded like, I'm not going to imitate it because I don't want anybody to be offended and I'm not trying to be funny. She had the heaviest accent. She sounded fresh off the boat. But in her mind, she thought she sounded straight up American. And I used to be like, child. So I walk in that morning. I'm one of only 2 people in the county clerk's office. 2 Black people. Everybody else is white. She hangs out with all the white girls, and so does the other Black girl. I walk in, she goes, hola. Oh, you know what that means? That means Spanish. That means hi in Spanish. And she goes, I'll take it a little further. ¿Cómo está? I said, ¿Está bien y tú? You tú hablas español? I said, so does my 1-year-old daughter. Because don't try to play me, boo. Who you think you talking to? Then she goes, oh my God. Now all the girls are sitting around. Oh my God, you speak Spanish? Stop trying to play me. We have got to stop underestimating people. The worst thing you could do is underestimate your opponent. You don't know what other people know. You don't assume because you see black skin that I don't know Spanish. I grew up with a group of girls who were Jamaican and Cuban, black like me, and fluent as ever in Spanish. It's called Afro-Latino. There are tons of them and speaks all measure of languages. We have got to stop underestimating our opponents. That's how you get mud in your face, because you don't know what people know. My daughter downstairs she was a linguist. I would always speak different languages with her, make her count every day in a different language, sometimes 3-4 times a day. My daughter was 3 years old. I had the periodic chart of elements on her wall at 3. My daughter could tell you all kinds of elements. I don't play those games. I play education. See, education is the key to freedom. Can't nobody hold you back. So don't ever take me for nobody's clown. Now, every now and then, someone will try to take you for a clown, and you ain't got to prove nothing to them. But here's what I will tell you. When the time comes, God will present a platform by which you smack them down. Smack them down. My daughter has been I never forget, I heard about the NFL was doing some type of event and hosting it was a let's say a long holiday. It was a day off from school, but they were hosting an event at this recreation center for kids to come and partake, and they were giving away a ton of things for the kids. So they had these contests, and my daughter, she didn't have any friends with her, but I was there, and I kind of was playing the back. Some adults were playing the back, and the kids were in the room doing activities and stuff. And so they got to this thing where they were giving away this big gift. They were asking all kind of questions like, who knows what da-da-da is? And who knows what da-da-da is? And so at first she wouldn't answer no questions. And I was like, answer questions. And she was like, I said, answer questions. So finally they asked, does anybody know what da-da-da is? And Nirvana was like, and very few people raised their hand. They were like, okay, young lady, what is it? And she told them. They were like, hey, everybody clapped. They was like, wow, how old are you, girl? She was in the 4th grade or something like that, 4th or 5th. So then they would ask, they realized that some of their questions were for the crowd. They were a little advanced questions. And so they started, for lack of a better term, dumbing the questions down. I hate to say it like that, but it is what it is. So they were stepping the questions back so that the kids could grasp it. So then at the end, they had this big prize basket. Everybody was like, oh, what's in that? Even during the break, kids were like, oh, what's in that? I want that. I want that. So it was like tickets to some event and some money in there and then a whole bunch of different things. They just put all these things in the basket. And that basket was for the last question. Whoever got this last question would get the basket. I mean, there was cash in the basket, all types of headphones and games and electronic things and handheld things and all this stuff. And I had always been teaching Nirvana ever since she was little. And sometimes, I'm a kid. I'm the parent that teaches a kid. Like we got the periodic table on her wall at 3. I had the counting, the numbers and in every language on poster boards in her room, her chore board, the meaning of all types of stuff. Guess what the last question was? People was asking questions. They started stepping the questions back to their normal. So everybody wanted this basket. At the last thing, one of the NFL players said, the last question is, who can tell me what DNA stands for? Nirvana jumped up. Everybody was going like, oh, looking around. Nirvana jumped up and said, deoxyribonucleic acid is the building blocks of life. It's shaped like a double helix. Them adults was in the room like, what? All the kids. Nirvana zoomed up there and got her basket, shook the man's hand, took her basket, and came running to me. Everybody was like, what? What just happened here? Baby, people was like, how she know that? Adults were like, I didn't even know that. What she said? Adults was walking over her. What you said? What was that you had said? How you know that? Who your mama is? Listen to me. I don't play. My mama didn't play. My grandmama didn't play. We don't play. And that was when I always pushed intellect on her and both of my sons. But that was the day that she truly realized how impactful being brilliant was. Adults was like, how on earth do you? And some people was like, she didn't get that right. She didn't get that right. And the guy was like, no, she got it 100% right. He turned the paper around. He was like, yeah. And it's a sizable word. But she was a fourth grade. How old are you in the fourth grade? What, 9? How old are you? Second grade is 7. 8th grade is 8. 4th grade is 9. She was 9. Adults were like, what did she say? Yeah, this ain't no. See, people on the internet think this is a parlor trick for me. It ain't a parlor trick. This is what I raised. This child could actually, she was 16 as a senior. She just turned 17. She actually has enough credits to graduate. She didn't want to leave school so early, so she took extra classes. Every class she's in is AP and honors classes, and she's the top of the class. We don't play around these parts. She's a critical thinker. This is what I want for every young person. Any young person that comes around me, trust and believe I pull this up out of them. I foster this in them because the one thing no one can take from you is your intellect. They can't take it from you because I'm living proof. I had a pow in the face, traumatic brain injury, seizure disorder, PTSD, and sharpen. And baby, I honed this thing. I sharpened this thing to make sure. This is my big thing. If I can't remember something, I don't know if y'all watch me, I'll be like, if it's a senior moment, that is depressing to me. That is depressing to me because intellect is so important. I want this for not just me, for all of us. Teach your kids that intangible stuff that can't be taken. And thus, in life, use that. Use it. There's going to come a time where, God forbid, especially with who we got up there running stuff now and his trusty dusty sidekick administration. He do you see the Motley's crew that he got for his administration? He had one guy who was pushed out because he was in a PDF file. I remember seeing the Matt Gaetz stuff from back in 2016, 2017 in Florida. Him and another Florida politician got caught doing that stuff, stealing money, using their political funds to pay people who don't have 18 candles on their cake and writing it off as, oh, fun money and just because, and they were tooting powder and everything. It's like 18, it had to be 2016, 2017. And I was just like, how is this guy still in politics? Why is he not in jail? He finessed his way. And I'm going to tell you, that other guy in Florida that he was doing his stuff with, baby, he done hurry up and chop that limb off and let that guy take the brunt of it. They was both in the Florida judiciary doing all kinds, legislative doing all kinds of craziness. How he got in national, in Congress, for the love of God. But he know how to pay. He put that gel in his hair. See, they know how to coif it up, smooth their hair back, put on a suit, use some SAT words and get through. He wasn't confirmed. He had to drop out. There was no way he was going to pass confirmation. There is so much dirt on this man and proof. Why is he in Congress? I have no idea. And they thought they was going to get him in the White House administration. And trust me, there's so many more of them. The reason that you find out how much dirt is in some of these politicians is, matter of fact, let me find this thing real quick. I want to read y'all something. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. My daughter looking at you and saying to me, Daddy, she's a real one. She don't pull no words back. Shout out. That's so funny. Hey, daughter. How you doing, boo? Welcome to the Nerd Herd, my dear. Temper's daughter. I don't pull any words back. Let me see if I can find this thing. Okay, I found it.
36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud.
This video is going ultra viral with millions of views across TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It shows a preacher named Mark Bailey rattling off a list of supposed crimes and misdeeds. At first telling his audience he's talking about NFL or NBA athletes.
14 have been arrested on drug-related charges. 8 have been arrested for shoplifting.
But at the end, he shocks the audience by claiming actually these numbers are referring to members of Congress. So are the stats referenced in this video true? Let's verify. Our sources, the Internet Archive and Capitol Hill Blue, a political blog. This is hardly...
I want to find the actual video. Wait, let me see what the preacher's name was. What was the preacher? What church?
36 have been accused of spousal abuse. 7 have been arrested for fraud.
This video is going ultra viral with millions of views across TikTok, Facebook, Twitter.
I want to find the original video for y'all so y'all could really get the stats. And so he said, I have, okay. Okay, let's see. I see it. Hold on. Let me find it for y'all. I wish I could find the actual video. I see a lot of stories on it. I want to find the original. Oh, maybe this is it.
It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Mark Bailey today. He assumed the role of DTS Chancellor in July 2020 after serving 19 faithful years.
No, I got to find it. I'll have to show it to you guys another day. Fair use, fair use. I don't want any strikes. But listen, when I tell you, he ran down the stats. He said, I want you to tell me if you think it's NBA or NFL. He started running down these stats of how many people abuse their wife, how many people can't get a credit card, how many people have criminal charges, how many people have this, how many people have filed bankruptcy, how many people, a long list. And people was like, oh no, it's the NBA, it's the NBA. The stuff on the list was so rache, okay? Because they think they bougie. So not ratchet, rache. The list was long. It was replete with all of these horrific stats. And so some people were like, who thinks it's the NBA? A bunch of people in the audience said, who thinks it's the NFL? A bunch of people, part of the church said, and then he said, it's neither of them. These are your members of Congress. Baby! Baby, can I tell you Congress was tighter than tight? Tight. The stats were disgusting. And listen, what you said, they're in shorts. There are shorts on it as well. Okay, great. Then you guys can see it. There are shorts on it. Listen, don't think for 1 second that the people in Congress are walking the straight and narrow. They got all measure of situations. Oh, shout out to Locked. Let me just put this on the screen real quick. Guys, you know I'm an author. By all means, hit the link. Buy my book, A Shot in the Dark. It is a page turner. It is quite the read. If you're looking, we're going to do a book club. And so what do you guys think that, let me put the fair use disclaimer up. This is why I love Locke so much. I love all my mods, but baby, when I tell you this dopest mod be on the money, making sure I don't get strike, fair use 107. Fair use is a limitation to copyright set forth in 17 U.S. Code 107 for purposes such as criticism and commentary. Thank you. Doesn't make sense to get a strike when we're just trying to share the good news. It is important for us to know our stuff. It is important for us to look deeper. It is important for us to never make the mistake of being superficial and believing what the masses tell you. In fact, when the masses tell you something too hard, that's what you don't believe. You go dig deeper because they have an interest. A very wise person, Dr. F. Keith Slaughter, once told me, the enemy, the opposition, the people, the powers that be that keep you subdued and keep you subjugated in life will never educate your kids to be smarter than their kids. Okay? So just because your kids go to school and get what is considered a technical education, understand that it doesn't stop when they leave school. Education continues when they are with you at every moment of the day, every waking moment. Trust me when I tell you. Oh, you ordered Nirvana socks? Oh, yay. I also have another book, guys. Nirvana Socks is the children's book myself and Nirvana wrote. Get yourself a copy. It is a fantastic read. It's a cute book. We're making it a series, and we want you to be able to participate. So by all means, grab a copy. Nirvana is my co-author. I wrote the book when she was younger, but then she revised it. And when I was looking to get illustrators and stuff, and she was like, well, why don't you change this and make this, and make this, that. And I said, you know what? That does work better. And so we have a phenomenal book about a precocious 8-year-old girl who has a fascination and obsession with socks. And on one day, when she washes her favorite socks, one side doesn't come out of the dryer. You guys all know what that's like when your sock doesn't come out of the dryer. But these weren't just any socks. They were her favorite socks. And so we had to go on a journey of discovery of what happens to the socks when they go missing in the dryer. It is a lovely tale. You'll enjoy. You'll laugh. You'll cry. You'll have a ball. Please pick up a copy where books are sold. You can find it on Amazon. Look up Nirvana, the Nirvana Socks book. And if it doesn't come up, put Nirvana Chronicles and it will come up. Yeah, there's so much information out there. And here's the thing. Now, a lot of times you will see something called Snopes. They are supposed to be this fact-checking thing. But let me tell you something about Snopes. I watched a documentary, a story on Snopes before. Snopes is a husband and wife who simply designated themselves the fact checker one day. They said, we're going to start a company where we determine if things are checking facts. Honey, they tied up in so much slackness and cheating. The husband cheated on the wife and it's all this stuff. And baby, they cannot be trusted. Google and see if that documentary on Snopes is still out there. I wouldn't trust nothing they said. They have made deals and are somehow connected with Google and all these other search engines that it's almost like back deals. Like companies want you to say their stuff is true, or someone else may say, we don't want that to go out as true. Lobbyists are able to affect what they determine is true or not. Don't listen to those things. Be mindful. Be mindful. I'm telling you. Snopes. Hey, and there's another one too. Listen, it was a big thing where one was stealing money, and this one was I can't remember the story totally, but one was stealing money, the next one was cheated. It is a poop show. Trust me. You got caught up in some embezzlement or something. Baby, be careful who vets your information. That's why I always say cite your sources, because the source you think you citing might not be nothing. Kimberly, you're still wondering where the socks go? Get yourself a copy of the Nirvana Chronicles. Nirvana sock. You will find out. I know where the socks go and what they go do. Trust me, you're going to want to know. It's amazing. Send a book to a kid that you know. And I'm writing a series. I have another book on its way out. It's called Little Kenny Rubin. What are you doing? That's my granddaughter. And whenever she comes to Grandma's house, she goes in Grandma's she shed, where all of my famous old gowns and dresses were when I was a famous singer back in the days. And whenever she puts something on, she travels back in time and has to solve a mystery. And then when it gets too quiet in the house, Grandma says, "Little Kenny Rubin, what are you doing?" And it makes her snap. She finishes solving the case and she snaps back into real time. And when Grandma goes in the she shed looking for her, she just pops back in and she's like, "What, Grandma? I'm just looking through your things." And she always comes back in a perfect amount of time. It's a Grandma, baby. It is a fantastic. What up, Cookie? It's a fantastic book. Another one is for my nephew, Handy Hammy Gets It Done. His name is Hendrix, but his initials spell out ham. So I call him Hammy, and that's his nickname in the family now. And so I wrote a book called Handy Hammy Gets It Done because he's such a handy fellow. He wants to help do everything. He's Mr. Fix-It. And so it's a great, this is the type of things I give. That's the type of gifts I give to a child. I'll write a book about you. I'm not going to just buy sweaters and toys and crap like that you won't even think about. But that book goes on in history. I will gift you the book and the credits to the book. I think that's how you give a gift to a child. Something that will follow them forever. I have a publishing company and it's called Mrs. Wright Publishing and not RIGHT, WRITE. Because you know your girl. Nerds in attendance. We're going to take attendance, nerds. Lock, take attendance. See where all the nerds at. Hola. But listen, guys, there is so much out here in this world, so much that we have to look into, so much that we have to dig deeper in. Don't think for 1 second. We've had, in a week, we've had 4 crashes, 4 plane crashes. We didn't have, if to my best recollection, in the year 2024, we didn't have 4 plane crashes for the entire year. We had 4 in a week. What they're trying to do is create an environment where people feel afraid. Fear is a commodity. They thrive off of fear. When there are a lot of events that take place simultaneously within a small span of time, and they induce enough fear, you will forego your rights and allocate your rights over to the government to strip you of your freedoms in the interest of keeping you safe. And that is what is upon us. See, your buddy's getting ready to come on in here. Remember, he said on day 1, he's going to be what? What did he say? On his first day, he's going to be a dictator. What better way to allow him to be a dictator than for everyone to feel in fear? Bomb going off here. Explosion over here. Mowing down humans and licking shots over here. Mass shooting in Queens. Orbs in the sky. Drones in the sky. A weird fog. Clouds falling out of the sky, falling down to where we are walking. Clouds. Not the least of which is chemtrails like a mug. Cloud seeding like a mug. It is December, and I have a massive, fresh, newly grown patch of grass in my yard. I have roses on my rosebud. Roses on my rose bush. Insane. It is as if the earth doesn't know it's January. Because for the Nerds Unite, hashtag Nerds Unite. For those of you that don't know, they want to desensitize us. Absolutely. Shout out to your son, Bliss Forever. Hey, listen, I have a publishing company. If you hit me up, you know the channel email, same as the channel, The Dopest Nerd with an A, THADOPESTNERD @gmail.com. Hit me up. Let's get your son working on a book and let's get him published. I'm telling you, they want to create the easiest way for people to willingly give over their rights. To give over their rights and their freedoms is when, in the anticipation of traumatic events happening, and email me. And that's how you get we'll do the publishing. Just email me at thedopestnerd@gmail.com and we'll have the discussion about the book and everything. And understand that you say it was almost 50 degrees in Michigan last week. I mean, think about it. The earth doesn't know it's January. I was driving, me and my daughter were going up the side of the highway. I said, look at the on-ramp to the highway. Look how illustrious and green this grass is. What nonsense are we watching? The earth doesn't know. Remember, we kept saying this year went so fast. It just feels like this year went so fast. Well, there is a place called CERN. Are you guys familiar with CERN? There's a place called CERN. They have something called the Hadron Collider. Who knows what the Hadron Collider is? Absolutely. A mini apocalypse is upon us. You guys better start prepping. Because if you fail to plan, let me tell you something. A man I used to work with, his name was Jacques. Jacques gave me I'm going to tell you 2 pieces of wise information Jacques gave me. He said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That was one. And a quick story. So Jacques, this particular time, my car was in the shop and I had to pick my kids up, but so I worked at a developmental center. I told you that. New York State Office of Mental Retardation and Developmental Disabilities. We have federal, state, and local times where the government comes in and they come in and check to make sure that we are adhering to all the policies, and they basically do an inspection. And so we had some deficiencies that we needed to clean up. And so all management staff had to do overtime. But I needed to pick my kids up, get in the house, cook something real quick for the babysitter to be able to hold the kids and then go back to work. Because we had to finish this up before the state came in. So I was home. So my car was in the shop. Jacques drove me home. I cooked and he sat on the side and he said, I notice you do something all the time. And I was like, what? And he was like, how come when you stir the pot, you wash the pot spoon before you put it in the pot. And then once you stir the pot, you close the pot, you wash the pot spoon, you put it on the side. And then when you get ready to stir the pot again, you go back and wash the pot spoon and then you stir the pot. Why do you keep washing it? It's clean. You just washed it. And I said, oh, I don't know. It's a habit. I watched my mother and my grandmother do that. He said, let me tell you a story about that. He said, but why? It's clean. Why do you keep cleaning it? So let me tell you guys and pay attention because this one's going to get you. So he said, you mustn't just follow certain things. You have to ask. There's nothing wrong with family, family recipes, family stereotypes, and just all those things, family lore. He said, I was dating a woman and every Sunday she used to make pot roast. Every Sunday without fail. In the winter months, she made pot roast. So whenever she would be cooking the pot roast, he said he liked to that's where they spent a lot of quality time in the kitchen. She would cut off the top, like the one end of the pot roast and the next end of the pot roast and throw them away. And he said, let me ask you a question. Every time I see you making pot roast, you cut off the both ends and you throw it away. How come? What's wrong with the pot roast? And she said, I don't know. I think it's something with the end of the pot roast. It's not good. And so he said, well, how could if the end of the pot roast is bad, the center of the pot roast is bad? And she said, boy, I don't know. I didn't see my mother and my grandmother do that. I don't know. So he said, call your mother and ask her why she do that. So she said, all right. She called, Mommy, ain't it something that's be wrong with the end of the pot roast? Why we just had to cut off both end and throw it in the trash? And the mother said, well, I think so, yes. Well, how come? Why are you asking? And she said, well, this man here asking me about this. So she said, I don't know. I just always do that. I always do that. And she said, but Mommy, why you just do that? And she said, well, is your grandmother I see do that? I get that from your grandmother. So she hung up with the mother. So he said, your mother don't know too? Call your grandmother. Grandmother lived back in Guyana. Or Grenada, one of the Caribbean islands. I think it was Grenada. So she called the grandmother in Grenada. Granny, how you do, Granny? How you doing? Grandmother said, hi, hey, darling, how you doing? Oh, God, I ain't hear from you in a while. Oh, everything going and thing. Oh, Granny, everything good. Let me ask you a question, Granny. When it is make the pot roast, and you just cut off one end and you just cut off the next end and throw them, and if something is wrong with the end of the pot roast, why you have to cut it off? The grandmother said, no, darling. So how come you just cut off the end of the pot roast? She said, well, we was poor. I only had one dish could make the pot roast and the dish was small. So I cut off the ends of the pot roast to make it fit in the dish. They've been throwing away 3 generations of pot roast because nobody asked the question. Now, how crazy is that? He said she was like, oh God, I don't believe that. I think it was something wrong with it. No one asked the question. 3 generations of pot roast in the trash because nobody asked the question. Ask the questions, guys. Call your mama and your grandmama and ask her about some of those things that are traditional to your family that you do. Ask the questions. Could y'all understand what I was saying, first of all, with my accent? I ain't even, you guys are familiar with Caribbean accents. Could you understand me, guys? Put it in the chat if you could understand what I was saying. I know some people are probably like, what the? Because, leave it to messy tube. I got a fake accent, which is crazy because I'm Caribbean. But D Froggy said, I'm too nosy to let that happen. But here's the thing. What are the traditions in your family that you follow that you don't realize you don't know the origin story behind? Okay, good. You guys can understand. Absolutely. Following traditions sometimes can put us in a quagmire. I'm not saying to disavow our traditions. I would never say that. I am, trust me, we 10 toes deep in this house in Caribbean traditions. I mean, that's the side. My father's American. My mother's Trinidadian. We know some of the American traditions, but not that much. I'm a Trinidadian. I grew up in a completely Caribbean household with all Caribbean things. It just happened to take place in America. And then in times where we lived in the Caribbean, but it was here. So this is what I know. I know all things sorrel and roti and all of that. That's what I know. We didn't learn that much from the American side. I hate to say it, we really didn't. Like, I don't even know that much of their history. And I was a question asker. But, some generations and some people, oh, honey, just sit down. Don't ask questions. Let's start asking questions. I'm going to create a worksheet for you to sit down and ask your mom. Those of you who are blessed to still have your moms and your grandmothers or your dads and your grandfathers, or at least your uncles and your aunts, depending on what level of the family you're in, you have to ask the questions. Michelle said, yep, I understood and I don't know Caribbean. Good. I'm glad you guys understood. And look, people throw out the ends of the bread. What y'all got against the ends of the bread? Okay, good. I'm glad you guys understand. What do y'all have against the end of the bread? I'll be trying to give my kids the end of the bread. They be like, ew, I don't want that. I'm like, what? It's bread. We have to ask the questions. So let's let that be something we do. Let's start taking, how many people have their family history now? You have to videotape. Unapologetically Black said, my friend is from Trinidad, and I'll tell you one thing. When she gets mad, I don't know what the heck she's saying. Listen, you ain't lying. My family's from Trinidad. And we got some of that too. Definitely. Now, here's the joke. My husband's best friend from Jamaica, he's from country. My husband's best friend. His accent is so heavy. Whenever he talked to Nirvana, she'd be like, yes, Uncle Errol, Afterwards, she'd be like, what the hell? He said, Mommy, I don't know what he talking about. She always be like, I'd never understand what he said. I always just be like, he talks super fast. But, although down at MessyTube, they say I have a fake Jamaican accent. I tell people I was Jamaican for about 20 years. So I was more Jamaican than I was Trinidadian. In fact, I had friends that I grew up with that were just, I never forget one day, me and a bunch of my friends were around talking. We were older by then. And they were like, well, how much in the group is, this one? We had 3 Bajans, which is from Barbados. It's not called Barbadian, it's called Bajan. We had 3 Bajans, we had 4 Trinis, and we had 2 Jamaicans. And I said, who's the 2 Jamaicans? And they said, you and such and such. I said, girl, I ain't Jamaican, I'm Trini. They was like, move out of here, girl. How much years I know you? You Jamaican. And I said, I'm not Jamaican, I'm Trinidadian. And they'd be like, no, but I know you for so long, you're Jamaican. My husband was Jamaican. I always felt a higher affinity to Jamaican than Trini, although my family's Trinidadian. I mean, my mom was born in Trinidad. My whole family's Trinidadian. But I was one of those Trinidadians that gravitated more to the Jamaican side. There's quite a bit of there's quite a bit of us that are more Jamaican-esque. And so I only dated Jamaican guys. My husband was Jamaican. I was Jamaican for 20 years. So when Donat says that I have a fake Jamaican accent, sir, I beg your pardon. Nothing could be further from the truth. I have Trinidadians who don't believe I'm Trinidadian. They think I'm Jamaican. And if a West Indian don't know, you certainly are not qualified, sir. But I digress. I think that that's very funny. But we have to ask our family members these things. We have to have these conversations. Michelle said, I only just found out that I'm 50% Jewish, English, Scottish, and a little bit of Irish. Hey, listen, get the information, string it together. It's never too late. Let's ask our questions. We got to know. And that's how you never know where you're going until you know where you're from. We have questions we need to ask. Traditionally in the Black family, we are told not to ask questions. So now we're grown. We got to ask those questions before we leave, because if they leave with the information, it's gone. If the elders leave with the information, it's gone. My grandmother I used to sit up and I could be holding my phone, and then everybody would be in the room talking, and my grandmother would say, hi, I hope you're not filming me on that camera, and I don't want no pictures. And I'd be like, woman, I'm on my phone. Ain't nobody studying. But the whole time I'll be videotaping her, because if they are gone and you don't capture their essence, they're gone forever. My granddaughter comes in. I have pictures of my mom. I have pictures of my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother. I call it the Trinity. I did this whole wall in the entry with these flowers and this nice wallpaper, and I have their pictures mounted in the same frames. My mom gifted them to me in the same frames, all of us, but I have them mounted. I give reverence to what? That's the Trinity. Those are the women who are the foundation of my existence. I'm a grandma's girl. I could go to my great-grandmother, and I knew my great-grandmother. Like, my great-grandmother passed away when I was in my late 20s. Mid to late 20s. I mean, I was a grown woman married with children. So we always had 5 generations of my family alive at the same time. So I was a grandma's girl. I could get anything out of my grandmother. I just go, Granny, Granny, Granny. And I always offer to help do something. Granny, you want me to wash the dishes? Granny, I could help you iron the clothes. Oh gosh, my grandmother would be like, come quick, come child. Or she would say, hi, somebody come in here and wash the dishes in Trinidad. And everybody be looking around like, not me. She didn't say my name. I ain't going. And I'll be like, Granny, Granny, Granny. And I'll do it. And I get up to go do it. And then she say, come, come, come. And we had something in the back, a terrace, but in the Caribbean, they call it a veranda. So she would call me to the back veranda and she would, hurry, come, Natty, come. Natty, come here. I need you to reach this thing for me. And I would be like, okay, Granny, Granny. And I go and she'll give me a Coca-Cola and be like, hurry up and drink quick. Don't let them see, drink quick. And I'll be back there with that Coca-Cola. And of course, one of my nosy cousins, Lincoln, he would come. When I tell you, me and my cousin Lincoln used to scrap when we were younger. He was younger than me, but that's my homie Pastromi. Like, we grown up, that's my homie. And I'll be drinking and he come and say, where's that you have there? Granny, give Nanny a sweet drink. I want a sweet drink. And I used to be like, oh, she said, I tell you to hurry. My grandmother, I was her baby girl. My great-grandmother and my grandmother. Now, my grandmother, baby, when I tell you, that was my boo ski. You hear me? I call that woman's name every day. I pray every day and call her name. Her, my husband, and my aunt. I call their names every day. That woman, whew. Shout out to Vivian Amelia Mead, a.k.a. Grandma Boobin. That's my girl. And that is why I can be such a great grandmother, because my grandmothers were magnificent grandmothers. I learned it firsthand. See, it's easy to be something good when you can replicate it. If you can have something modeled to you, it's easy to have an interpolation of what you see and model that after, and let that inform how you go forward. My girlfriend's like, you're such a great grandmother. You're such a great grandmother. Oh, you're such an amazing grandmother. Because I had amazing grandmothers. I watched my mom be an amazing grandmother to my kids. I'm an amazing grandmother to my granddaughter. Because I love it. And listen, no disrespect to my counterparts of my age group. That's all call me Mimi, call me Glam, call me Nunu. Call me all these, everything except grandma. Are you crazy? Baby, this 25-year hard journey that I survived when I thought so many times I wasn't going to make it. You think I want something other than grandma, baby? Call me Granny Nanny. Call me grandma. I love it. I'm not afraid of getting old, baby. It is a sign of accomplishment. It means we are here. It means we made it. It means we succeeded. You could still be tastefully seasoned and hot. You can still have hot girl summer in the grandma edition. You ain't gotta be, it don't mean you out to pasture. But stop giving up your titles for this foolish notion that you're holding on to your youth. Call me Nini. Call me Gloom. Call me Glamla. What? How about grandma? What is wrong with grandma? It's a badge of honor. I thought I wasn't going to make it in this 25 years. It's a badge of honor. It means I achieved. It means I came, I saw, I conquered. It means Vini Vidi Vici. I'm still standing. I don't want none of them foolish, half-baked nicknames. Call me abuela, I don't care, but call me grandma. Nicole said, in my family, it's always confusion on where my great-great-grandmother was from, rather from Spain or Cuba, but it is said that her father was Japanese. I remember her too. Listen, there's a distinct possibility that she could have been from any one of those places. I would say look it up, but I have an aversion to handing my deoxyribonucleic acid over to these companies. You ain't gonna get my biological information. No, sir. mess around and show up at the new OJ case location, and you like, how did 3 drops of blood get on that steering wheel? Because you sent it in to some DNA ABC123 Anonymous. Not me. Not me at all. Yeah, listen, Anita said, I can't wait to be a granny. Baby, when I tell you, if you think loving your kids is magnificent, wait till them grands come. My goodness, I tell you, it is the best kept secret. Heather said, that's what I say. I'm a grandma. Isn't it magnificent? I absolutely love it. I loved my children. My goodness, being a grandmother. Okay, baby, Keisha. Keisha said, I'm out, girl. I can't keep my eye open. Later. We say later. My son doesn't like us to say bye. He said it's too permanent. We say later. Sleep well, mama. You said you've done genealogy, no DNA? Okay. Cookie said we're also mixed. It's wonderful. That's called a beautiful mosaic. Shout out to the first black mayor of New York we had, David Dinkins. They used to always say, New York is a melting pot. New York is a melting pot. But here's the thing about a melting pot. If everything melts together into one, that means you lose your culture. You lose things that are relegated to your heritage. And we don't want that. He said, no, we don't want it to be a melting pot. He said, New York is a beautiful mosaic. And I've always loved mosaic vases and things. I like that whole pixelation of putting pieces of things together. It's just magnificent to me. So we are a beautiful mosaic. And so I always remember David Dinkins for saying that. Shout out to David Dinkins for that gem. Tia said, I just spoke to my grands. Their voices melt my soul. Absolutely. Shout out to you, Tia, and Granny. Shout out to Granny. I love grandma life. It's so spectacular. Dana said, I always tell people it's a different kind of love when you have grandchildren. Yes, I love my daughter, but my grandchildren, ooh, baby girl. Please tell them about it, honey, because I thought I was obsessed. I am obsessed with my granddaughter. First of all, she's absolutely brilliant. You guys saw Grandma Baby. She's absolutely brilliant. She keeps me guessing. She is so fantastically intelligent. I mean, if I thought I was a nerd, this girl is going to break the stratosphere. She's already in honors classes. She does something called AIM. It's for all honors classes. They wanted to skip her. My son is like, they don't want her out of her, which makes sense. Skipping is good. Here's skipping. Skipping is good because it recognizes your intellect. And here's what I know. If you are in classes where you don't feel challenged, you will start to goof off. And I went through that. My mom had this theory about skipping. And my son has the theory, and I don't think they ever shared it. Not to my knowledge. I don't think they've ever had that discussion. But his mentality is when you take them out of their peer group, they're exposed to older children before their time. And I get that, especially as a dad. He ain't playing that game. Baby, when I tell you my son and my daughter-in-law are two of the most phenomenal parents I've ever experienced. And I was a fantastic mother, but baby, are they dynamic. And my granddaughter just come over here and just be finessing me. And I love the finesse. I just let her finesse me. One day she was like, Grandma, I am not ready to sleep. Can I get another 15 minutes on my tablet, please? And I was like, Kenny, your parents put the little time limit thing on it. I said, how can I do it? I can't give you that. I don't know the passcode. And she was like, I can tell you, Grandma. And I was like, you can tell me what? She was like, I can tell you the passcode. I said, you know the passcode? Why is there a passcode if you know it? She's going to take she said, I can't. I said, well, put it in if you know it. She's like, well, I can't put it in, Grandma. I can't do it. And I was like, what does that mean? You said you know it. Put it in. She's going to take my finger and put it on her keypad and press out the passcode. When I tell you, I was weak. I laughed my stomach off. She's going to talk about, 20 more minutes? I said, what is this? Child. See? Dana said, I was so bored in school and thought I was stupid till I got older. No, you were never stupid. You were ahead of the grade and the group that you were with. You were ahead of your time. And this is what I talk about. That's why we have to ask questions, because they will let you think that you are less than if you don't push the envelope. You didn't feel challenged, and that's why you would get bored. Nighty-night, Debbie. You would get challenged. Oh, baby, you think that ain't slick, girl? She took my finger and beep, 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 beep. I said, and then my son was like, Mommy, you gave him more time. I was like, yeah. D Froggy said, most places at least have early college, high school, if he insists on her staying in a peer group 2 free years of college. Listen, my son was going to do that. Early college. Yep. I know all about that. And my daughter was going to go to a college to do the early college. And then she just decided to do the AP classes, which gives her the college credits anyway. So she has so many AP credits. That's my thing, is that I would take her to the college. I wanted her to do it. We had plotted it all out. She was going to start it in 10th grade. But there are creeps in this world. Like today, we were in Home Depot, and I could, I'm an empath, so I can feel energy. I'm looking, my daughter and I are working on a project, so we're in the aisle, and I'm looking at some stuff. And then all of a sudden, I just felt this presence behind me, and I turned around and I looked, and I didn't see anybody directly behind me. Then I had to look down, and the man was squatted down behind me. I was like, when the hell did he get here? And my daughter was like, just probably a few seconds ago, why would you come right behind somebody and squat down, acting like you're looking at something? It was so weird. And I was just like, don't be a weirdo. I said, come on there. So then this man comes down the aisle. You know when people are fake looking down the aisle like they're doing something? I could feel his energy was pushing out of him, radiating freak stuff. He comes down the aisle. There's a whole aisle. Nirvana can feel it too. She steps away, kind of almost behind me. He still comes, and I move back to give him clear space. He still come walking way too close to us. I said, Ninja, don't be an effing weirdo. I hate weirdos. Don't be an effing weirdo. He act like he didn't hear me. I said, come on, Nirvana, let's go, because I don't want to have to shake nobody in here. Yes, the good spiritual woman. Me no want to shank nobody in here, because I will. So I walked out. Me and her went to another section of the store. We are far away from this guy. Next thing you know, who come up behind us walking too close? I said, look, mister, I will buy a knife and shank you right in here, Don't do it. Don't start your year off bad. Because I could feel his energy trying to get close to my daughter. I said, Ninja, I'll buy one of these knives and shank you. Don't do it. He kind of got shook now, and then these two brothers looked at him like, nigga, go ahead. I was serious. You trying to get next to my daughter in this store, you keep walking behind. You know how you and somebody are standing here, and then somebody will come and slide in between here for what? When the whole aisle is there? I said, mister, don't ruin your year. It's only the second. I'll ruin your year and your future. Don't do it. I doesn't play about this at all, boy. Not at all. A big grown man looking at my 17-year-old daughter. I was boiling because he kept doing weird things. We were way past him in the store. He finds his way back around another aisle and then come walk. These two guys on the line looked at him and was like, don't do it, brother. Don't do it. Go ahead. Go ahead. And he kind of looked like, sheesh. Walking around, you coming in between people in small places, but you ain't got a thing in your hand. You in 50 million aisles, but you have nothing in your hand. I was like, baby, you don't want this headache today. You don't want this headache at all. Because, baby, listen, I was not even in the mood. Hey, Shalom Shaw, keep them close. My son is 29 with special needs, and I keep him close. Absolutely. There are weirdos in this world that do stupid things. Anita said, oh, and I thank the Lord I don't have daughters. We'll be in jail now. Listen, let me tell you something. It drives me crazy because, as anything, the way God created us, nature will make you start to blossom. Child, don't want to hurt nobody. Catwoman said, hello, locked and all. I just saw my buddy. Did I skip past you? Where did he go? I could have sworn I just saw it. Maybe I didn't. I just thought, wow. Mm-hmm. Lakeisha said, I can't stand weirdos. Me either. Listen, the crazy thing is I could feel his energy. The aura was nasty. And I was just like, listen, walking up and down the aisle, touching random things, acting like he wanted, but never picking nothing up. From aisle to aisle to aisle. It's apparent what is being done. I was like, sir, it's only the second. Now, they didn't have a car blow up at Trump Hotel and another mowing down and shooting of people and a mass shooting and plane crashes. Don't. Let's get to the third before some other bomb has to go off. It's really nasty aura, and I was so disgusted with it. Cookie said, I go through the same. Yeah, it's a nasty feeling. Because they're grown, and I embarrass them. See, I don't play that game. I embarrass them. I say, she's a child, sir. She's a child. Don't break your neck. She's a child. And then they be looking at me like, what? I didn't do nothing. Oh, you absolutely did. Dana said, that's right. There's a lot of sickos out here. You are 100% right, Cookie. A ton of them. Shout out to Sierra Evans. Happy birthday, family. The Nerd Herd loves you. Oh, Sierra, and Locked, you absolutely told me this too. Did you tell me this? Or did she just tell us it was her birthday? You told me I had a birthday coming up. I'm so sorry, Sierra. I will write that and make sure that you have your birthday wish right on the community page. Catwoman said, Natanya, thank you. They don't care that they're children. That's the scary part. You're 100% right. They have no consideration. They don't care. Rita Ahava, I just love your sense of maturity and spiritual awareness. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Soul to soul, baby. Thank you so much. Yeah, it just is very weird. Thank you so much for the super chat. It's very weird that people exist in that. Oh, look at Locke. This child be on the money. You hear me? D Froggy said, glad you were there. Can't stand a creep. I can't stand a creep either. It's so disgusting. And I will always embarrass them. Because I'm never looking for trouble. But so help me God. Lottie Dottie. She likes to party. She don't cause trouble and she don't bother nobody. But she stay on the ready. Missed the Trump hotel party, but it sounds like a psyop from 1,000 miles away. Come on now, Anita, girl. Yes, honey. Come on now. That's what I said. Honey, I don't trust it for nothing. Just by virtue of the fact that it's a Trump hotel and a Tesla Cybertruck. The optics, they're trying to make it clearly look like one thing and it's a total another. Temper said, my head stay hot. My daughter, hey, yeah, it must have mod. For real. And they don't get it. They don't think, see, here it is. They do stupidness. They don't think people can pick up on it. And they don't think you'll crash out, baby. As much as I love this whole new life as a content creator and freedom and all that, I will crash all the way out over Nirvana. Over any of my children, Gran included. I will crash all the way the F out. Y'all will be like, wow, I didn't see it coming. And I'll be like Chicago. He had it coming. Shalom said, I checked the guy on the bus. Called the girl's dad. Her dad was waiting by the bus. On the bus, 2 stops with the... Yeah, because we live in a sick world. And I don't understand. Happy birthday, Ciara, said Cookie. 100. Cat said 100. If people are in fear, it's easy to control them. Absolutely. And that's what's happening. They are creating fear-based fear-mongering in order to alleviate. Just think of the times where they used to do this thing in the New York City train station, checking everybody's bag. They were not everybody's bag. They were friggin' picking and choosing who they wanted to check. See, they said that we were trying to make sure that there were no terrorists, but everybody they picked had melanin in his skin. You think terrorism comes in one shade? Come on now. They were profiling the daylights out of people. That's why we have our children and our grands covered in prayer daily. Indeed. Locke said, join the Nerd Herd birthday list today, where you can also comment and more. Link in the forums. Was that very infomercially, girls? Double D's on deck. That's crazy. Absolutely. Hey, honey. He had it coming. There you go, D Froggies. I love when you guys catch my little nerdy quotes. Amen, Atia. Lakeisha said. Double D said, I have to tell that story to my daughter. Listen, when I tell you my nerve was plucked, Lisa Bruno said that happened to me in a department store. My goddaughter was only 2. He followed us aisle to aisle until I embarrassed him. So scary. And it's just, when I tell you these people have nefarious things in their heart. Catwoman said, Locked is hilarious. Indeed, she is. So funny. Keeps me laughing all the time. Shalom Shah said the supremacists that tried to burn down Minneapolis during the riots were terrorists. They were. That was their Antifa people. And they would, and here's the thing, this is what they do. They will co-opt a movement, because I'm an activist. When we were marching for Black Lives Matter, or when people were gunned down, other people were gunned down, so help me God, Antifa would join us and they would run up the building and spray paint the building. We had to tell them, we don't do that. Stop that. They would join. So they look like, when they're marching with us, they look like, okay, we're walking with the people. We're with the people, sympathizers. But no, they were the troublemakers. They were the troublemakers. I said, who are these people? Why are they spray painting buildings when that's not how we do this thing? Antifa. That's how I learned about Antifa prior to the whole Black Lives Matter movement. They will co-opt your movement for the purposes of tearing the place up and then acting like you did it. And it's not a nice thing. When that Rashard Brooks thing happened, it was in the guy that was sitting at a Wendy's and he fell asleep, and then the people in the drive-through called the cops on him, and instead of them letting him, he would just fell asleep in his car. Instead of them letting him park the car and just sit there and sleep or something, they ended up unaliving him and powing him. And then people rioted, and then Antifa set that Wendy's on fire. But they tried to act like it was the people in the hood. Tia said, Lakeisha, watch and pray. And you have my, okay. Maybe I wasn't supposed to click on that one. I'm a super kind, caring person, but I don't tolerate creeps and rude people, not 1 inch. Me too. My bad, Tia. I think I went in on your conversation. Yeah, they always infiltrate good movements and try to make it look bad. Indeed. And that's a thing. Antifa is no joke. They're not. They're very destructive. Very. Locke said, I remember that. Anarchists will also sneak in anywhere they can. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Nicole Powell said, I remember that. She said, that's okay. I'm at Pew Pew. Okay. I thought I had interviewed. I was like, I don't think that was my conversation. But yeah, we have to be mindful of what's going on in this world. There's a lot of bait and switch. There's a lot of sleight of hand. The purposes are not for our benefit, though. Let's always remember that. I don't care. The new thing is, especially for Nerd Herd, whether you're in the chat, whether you're in the bushes and just watching, the new standard for life should be never take the first narrative they give you. All you do is vet it based on historical behavior and conduct. What is the obvious narrative they're trying to push? And whatever the obvious narrative is, it's usually not that. Look a little deeper. It's like gold plated. Just scratch a little. That shiny stuff gonna come off and you're gonna get the really real. And let's be critical thinkers for everything, because life is an agenda now. There is a massive agenda over the quality of our life. We have a Republican Vana? We have a Republican president, vice president, Congress, judiciary for the Supreme Court. Listen, they're going to mop the floor, or they're going to attempt. We have to do critical thinking. They're going to push forth agendas like you never seen. We don't typically have this kind of landslide, complete Republican. Hold on a second. Vana? You good? Oh. Hold on, y'all. The TV be sounding like it's a real thing. Ooh, what did I miss? Dana said, yep, this is the continuation of the Antifa conversation. Yep, they always do and make Black people look bad. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They co-opted Black Lives Movement, and they did a lot of crazy stuff and made it look like it was us, and it wasn't. Society has really changed. They're moving so open now. No shame. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shalom Shaw said white people in Minneapolis started putting Black Lives Matter sign in their yard thinking that it was BLM burning down the city. I saw Asian business do that, and they said we're Black owned. I promise you. A Chinese restaurant put that in their thing. They said they were Black owned. And they said, then they had a Black Lives Matter sign in the window too. The views expressed on the Dopest Nerd are based on opinion and belief and protected by the First Amendment rights as stated in the United States Constitution. Don't y'all just love Locked? Don't y'all just love narcissistic triangulation? Create chaos, then rush in to save us. Yes, honey. And it's also called Munchausen's by proxy. That's when they go in, put the pillow over your face, stifle you. And then when all the bells and whistles start going off, they say, oh my God, she's not breathing. She's not breathing. Munchausen's by proxy. One is to the masses and one is to the individual. Bantu Beauty says, hello, Miss Natanya. Y'all be spelling my name all kinds of ways, but I get it. I know. Siri is not used to it, but Siri is about to start spelling my name right, honey. Because they said, how many times do you have to type something into a search engine for the computer to recognize it? Anita said, locked, heart, smiley face, hug. At Tia. Guys, we're going to start winding it down. Bantu Beauty said, welcome back, family. Or Locke said, welcome back, family. D. Froggy said, exactly. There's usually opposition slowing anything the president wants to do down or completely stop it. Not now, shaking my head. And remember, this man said to us, his first day, he is going to be a dictator. So we have to keep in mind, we're the second day of the year. He is sworn in on the 20th. We got and we can't even say 18 days anymore. We have 17 days because this day is almost over. Locke said, absolutely, guys. We're going to go and do that this week. This coming week. Last time we went there, the guy was like, we can't videotape, but I'm going to have Nirvana by the car videotaping anyway because, you know, what they say, if it ain't videotaped, it don't exist, right? And so I'm going to have Nirvana videotaping. Now, I don't want to do anything to violate nobody's rights or whatever, but I'm going to videotape it and we'll take stills. Sorry, I am late. Don't worry, darling. You can always watch it on the replay, gang. Be sure to copy yourself a copy of A Shot in the Dark, written by moi, Natanya Rubin. It is a page turner. Trust me. You'll be turning pages until you have no pages left to turn. Ba-doop-ba. Double D said, ha, 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 laughing face emojis. And Lakeisha, stay greeting everybody. Greetings, Joan. Listen, when I tell you I love that, is there any PayPal payment for the coats? I can't get Cash App in my country. I believe I have a PayPal. I don't typically use it. I will give Locked the... Did I give it to you before, Locked? What did we use it for? Let's see. You know, I'm one of those people that never my daughter has to tell me what my IG is until I changed it to the Dopest Nerd. I couldn't even remember. But I'm going to give it to Locked so she can at you or pin it. She'll pin it in the chat. So we'll pin it and then you can go ahead and donate. Because I don't be remembering all that stuff. I'll let you slide as long as you have your tardy slip. Hey, shout out to the tardy slips. Y'all want to hear something funny that my son used to do? So I told you we got the lateness bug. So my son would be late for school and used to have to go into, he's grown out. This is when he was little. He used to have to, not little, but high school. So you used to have to go in and just sign the late paper. And then the lady at the desk would just give you a pass once she sees you sign the late paper. My son would go in. So I used to be like, when a report card come, it would never have lates on it. I was like, they let you slide for your lates? He was like, yeah, something like that. And I was like, something like that? I never heard of a school that lets you slide for your lates. Normally they'll say your student was late or missed a class today. I was like, what is going on? So I kept pushing him like, what's going on? How come he never reflects the lates or whatever? And he was like, all right, mommy, I'm going to just tell you what I'll be doing. I'm like, oh, sucker, what are you doing? This boy used to go in there and sign the paper. Michael Jordan, Kanye West, all kinds of stuff. He would sign whatever celebrity name or something, basketball player, and get a late pass. So it never was reflected when they would take the paper and go against all the students that signed it. It was never reflected against him until finally they realized he was always late, but they never signed a thing for him. And then it was like, oh, Michael Jordan, write your name right here so we can see. After that, he just had to stop being late. It was hilarious. That sucker used to put all kinds of names. Kanye was his favorite. And they'd be like, Kane West. I was like, you better stop it. But he got away with that for quite a long time. When I tell you genius. Now, you got to, they want to see your ID or whatever for late. But, Princess Beats, she don't do that. She's like, come on, I got to get to school. I thought it was very ingenious. Like, my kids are all very savvy in all their own ways. And when I tell you, Dana said I would sign and dip. Listen, it's hilarious. Anita said it's hilarious and ingenious. It absolutely is. He finessed for a long time. But I said, let's just practice not being late. I don't know. Listen, we on Kairos time, not Chronos time. Because, baby, when I tell you, I don't be trying to be late, but then I turn around 2 times and then I'm late. So that's the slickness right there. Yes, honey, it runs in the family. That boy said, child, I said, how are you not getting, it's never on your thing. That boy was like, all right, ma, I'll tell you. Kat said, at Dana, that's what I did too, LOL. See, it's that family thing. We are family. Thank you. She said, your children are brilliant. I thought it was brilliant too. I was like, yo, do not get in trouble in that school for that. She said, in high school, my dad always dropped me off late. To this day, I'm always early for appointments. I'll tell you, my oldest son, Laura said, me too. Better late than never. Absolutely. I'll tell you something. My grandmother and my oldest son were the only people in the family that don't play late. My oldest son, baby, he does not play with it late. And my grandmother, God rest her soul, this woman would get to work an hour and a half early. That was nonsense to me. You giving your job a free hour and a half. Nope. Can't do it. Can't do it. You know how it is. You get to work, and there's a lady who's there. She reading papers and magazines and stuff in the lunchroom in the staff lounge, just chilling. An hour and a half early. Foolishness. I could never. I ain't giving them that free hours. Although I typically don't work for anybody anymore, but it just sounds, she said, I'm perpetually at least 5 minutes late for everything. Me too. And my late is not like an hour late, a half, although I've been an hour or a half hour late. It's not that late. It's those small perpetual lateness. But that's usually what plucks people's nerves the most. It's really what plucks people's nerves for some reason. Anita said, I'm never late. Always 5 minutes early. Ooh, child. I want to be like you when I grow up. I say kids make you late. LOL. You know what? Nirvana looks at me and be like, woman, can we go, please? I'm like, okay. I always be like, Nirvana, you ready? And she'll be looking, be like, mommy, really? Come on. And she be cracking that whip. So I can't be late with her. She doesn't like it. But guys, as always, I have a ball with y'all. We could talk forever. I never want to leave you guys. You know how your parents take you somewhere and say, when you get inside your aunt's house, you better not ask me, can you sleep over? You better not ask me, can we stay longer? And when I say get your coat and let's be ready to go. And you be like, okay. And as soon as she like, get your coat, you be standing there like, the other kids, you like, ask your mom, can you sleep over? You like, can I? She look at you like, what did I tell you? So, can we stay a little longer? But no, we're going to go. I will see you guys tomorrow. You guys see I uploaded some videos, some pre-recorded videos. Nirvana was like, when are you going to do your pre-recorded videos again? I said, you know what? Let me do some pre-recorded videos. But you see, guys, did I put it out there yet? I think I did. I put the home remedy one to get better. And that was a direct request from, who requested? Chelsea. Chelsea requested the recipe to get better. So I put it up there and I'm going to paste it in the chat. I actually have the whole recipe. I'm going to take it and pin it in the comments. So if anybody's under the weather, Locke, you know what to do. Now, on the video, I said, stop. This does not constitute medical advice. This is simply my Trinidadian home remedy, my family's remedy. If anybody quotes my remedy, that's fine. Cite your sources and give me credit. If you do not give me credit and you use my Trinidadian remedy, I will strike your channel. I'm telling you now. I want everybody to avail themselves of it and feel better. But if you do not cite your sources that you got that from me, I will strike your channel because that is my recipe. I just don't want to keep it as covetous when I know people are sick everywhere and people are getting sicker, and we don't want to go back to those days of not so far in the recent past where everybody was extremely sick. We don't want to go there. And so I'm giving this of myself for people to use, but have some mercy. No plagiarism. There's too much plagiarism on this internet. I mean, I like it. I am a nerd. I don't like plagiarism. Cite your sources. All you got to do is say, Natanya's Trinidadian Get Well Home Remedy. So again, this 5 and another 5, aka stop. This does not constitute medical. I'm not prescribing. I am not giving medical information. This is simply, I am telling you what I do. and how my family gets better. That's it. Does not constitute medical advice. Before people be like, I went over there and took that medical advice she gave, because you know how the people do. Let's keep it a buck. But I want, sources are super important. And when I say cite your sources, I mean also vet your sources too. Don't just take any old source. You got to, like MLA style when you were in college. You know what the MLA style is. Do that MLA style. Cite your sources and do a bibliography so you can show the trajectory of where that source came from. Okay? No imitations over here. Cite your sources. That's right. Plagiarism and assimilation. Say it, girl. Oh, that was Michael. Absolutely. But I hope you guys feel better. Anyone who needs to avail themselves of the recipe, by all means, I'm going to pin it in the chat. It's on the video. Go down the Dopest Nerd trajectory of the lineage. You'll see it on the channel. I hope you all feel better. Please take care of yourself. Be safe. Be mindful. Get yourself some wet wipes. Carry with you. Be careful with all the... Listen. Any agenda they push on us, they do a 52 fake out. It's okay to have hand sanitizer. But I want you to know, hand sanitizer kills the good microbiome on your hands. All bacteria, some are good, some are bad, but we need them both to balance the pH of our body. When you use too much hand sanitizer, you are killing all of the flora, the bad bacteria that your body needs. Not the least of which is, I watched a documentary about that. It is extremely flammable. Flammable. Like if somebody strike a lighter next to your freshly sanitized hands, you're going to lose the skin off that hand. I'm letting you know now. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. So just keep yourself some wet wipes. Everybody can buy some wet wipes. Buy some wet wipes. Just wipe your hands. That way you're not killing your good flora and microbiome on your hands, but you are cleaning your hands. Just have something to wipe off the shopping cart when you go shopping. Just let's go back to some protocols, the good, healthy protocols that we put into play when we were trying to keep ourselves healthy. And be careful. Wash your hands. My grandmother had a wash your hands and dry them. And it was like a song. Everybody made fun of that. Wash your hands when you come inside. Don't forget those things. I should not have to say this to adults. And I know I don't have to say it to my nerd herd, but people in the replay game, wash your hands when you use the restroom. I can't tell you how many times I was in office buildings. I watched people come out of the stall and don't wash no hands. Wash your hands. That's another source of spreading bacteria like crazy. And it's that time of the year. So let's just exercise precaution and healthy, tactics and keep ourselves healthy. And nerds unite. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your great company. You could have been anywhere in the internet world, but you chose to be here with us at the Nerd Herd. So on behalf of Locked, the dopest mod, Lakeisha, my dope mod, and Expressions of Miss Honesty, Charlotte, my dope mod, I would like to say thank you. Good night. Be well, sleep tight. Or for those of you that are in other areas where it is daytime for you, have a wonderful day. We appreciate you guys. We love you. We couldn't do any of this without you. You are essential to all of this. Yes, try not to hold on to the escalator. Please, that is a source of funk like no other. I love you guys so much. Peace and blessings unto you. To God be the glory for all things. Continue to be well and do well. Make sure you grab a copy of Nirvana Socks or A Shot in the Dark. Those are page turners. Go look up those while you're falling to sleep. Go right down the YouTube streets. Go to I Am QHEF. Write 7X. That's WRIGHT 7X. Dre_OG or Perky. Go watch their channels. Start to fall asleep by that. Start to look at that before you go to bed. I promise you. The lesson that you get every night, you will learn more in 1 month from watching those channels than you learned your entire high school and college. I promise you. So let's get to it. I want you guys to have this information. and be is that the right what did Perky change the spelling? Be careful, Locke. There's another Perky with 2 Y's. I don't think Perky is the one with the 2 Y's. Perky got 1 Y. There's another Perky, so check that one. But I am QHEF, right 7X, Dre _ OG. You guys are going to get an education of your life. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to all my mods. I love you so much. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. And we are a unique bunch and a peculiar bunch, and I love us. We are so dope. And they love you guys too. We all love you. So thank you so much. Sleep well. Until we meet again, guys. You know, I love you. Nerd Herd out. Sleep well.